This episode of the Giant Bombcast is brought to you by Squarespace. That's right, it's time to turn your great idea into a reality with Squarespace. Squarespace makes it easier than ever to launch your passion project. What are you doing? You showcasing your work, you selling some products. All this is the sort of stuff that Squarespace can do for you. And they can do it beautifully with beautiful templates. That's right. They give you the ability to customize just about anything. You can make a beautiful website all by yourself. But if you do run into some issues, Squarespace has 24/7 award-winning customer support right there to help you when you need it. Head on over to squarespace.com/bombcast and you'll get a free trial. When you're ready to launch, use that offer code BOMBCAST and you'll save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain.
Hey, it's Tuesday, August the 14th, 2018. This is the Giant Bombcast. I'm Brad. Ben and Jeff are here.
Hello.
Hi. Jason A. Striker down behind the console,
Hey, how's it going?
taking the place of Jan
Yeah, he's out on
Who's
vacation, so
out.
I got to remember how all of this works.
doing the PTO thing.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. A bunch of
boy.
sliders and buttons and keys and knobs.
Sliders.
Who brought Slider?
Wait a minute.
What kind of
I
sliders
didn't
we
know about
talking?
Slider
Wait,
Tuesday.
there's smaller, worse hamburgers over there?
Yes.
Sweet. You just have to make it through this podcast and you can have one.
Why do you think they're automatically worse?
Because a slider, you get less. So a burger has like kind of it's like the earth, right? There's different layers.
Flat.
Yep.
and
You get
smashed down.
flat, smashed down, delicious. You get like a nice outer edge of a burger.
Yep.
Is an experience. It's like the more cooked part. It's a little chewier.
Uh-huh.
As you work your way in, it's a little more rare. But a slider is just like a. It reminds me of school meat. You know,
School meat.
Mm-hmm.
it's like one texture all the way are
Yeah. Sliders
too
are
chewy.
like not the worst thing in the
No.
world, but yeah, they're not better than here's an actual burger.
Why are
Yeah.
they called sliders?
Because you slide
So
them
they just
down,
slide
your
down your
throat. I don't know,
throat.
yeah.
Okay.
We're
like a
talking
Ready
snake.
for another one.
Or they're named after
Comparing
the TV show. I don't actually know.
apples to apples, right? There can be. You can have a better cider than a bad hamburger, correct? Like there's not.
Yeah, I think it's
It's an
possible.
absolute scale. Like a really
The-
good cider is better than the worst burger you've ever had. As
Well, pretty much anything's better than the worst burger I ever had.
long as we're clear.
Matt, special guest Matt Roy.
Hi, how are you?
Here
How you doing?
bringing us all the corporate provided horoscopes that we could crave.
Yeah, man. Watch magazine. Catch a fever.
What do you got for us?
I love it every time, and this is what I was
on
laughing at.
who's on this one?
I don't
on
know
the cover?
actually. It just
This
says
is the same one that's
in
been
the
in here for months.
stars. The
Oh,
skies
these are not even up to date horoscopes.
Oh no,
No.
I just saw the headline that made me laugh. The sky's the limit, Cancer. It's your time to shine.
Great. Perfect.
It's,
Yeah.
I get what it means in context.
That's
Oh no,
Good
these
stuff.
are always fantastic,
Good
and I
stuff.
love the fact that there's somebody in this building whose job it is to distribute Watch magazine, like Johnny Appleseed. Every
And it's just like it's the CBS magazine. It's like a corporate magazine. It's
Yeah.
like but like to the public, not
Is it
like
in-
hey, you work here. It's not necessarily.
Wait.
It's like hey, you're in a waiting room.
It's
No,
like
we're
the-
just lucky enough to have
wait.
copies
yeah,
all over
exactly,
the
This
place.
is not just an internal employee magazine.
No,
No,
this
no.
is-
You're
saying
you can-
civilians can get their
you
hands
can
on Watch?
subscribe to this. This is the magazine equivalent of like an airport book. It's nothing but perfume ads and shit like that, but it's all about CBS stars. Also, there's CNET magazine, which apparently is doing pretty well.
All about CNET stars.
Yeah, but they put these
Stars
in
of
our
stage and screen.
They put
Like
these
Jeff
in our
Baclar.
Jeff
mailboxes.
Baclar on the cover every month.
Yeah.
They put these in our mailboxes for reasons that are vague to everybody.
Wait,
Like,
are you saying we all get copies?
I go through your mailbox,
Yeah.
take them out, and put them on top of the mailbox.
don't
so
really
you
think
have to
check
deal
the
with it.
Wait,
check
what
the
the
old
fuck,
mailbox.
dude?
If
Often.
you want one, they are
Man,
How
I
are
don't
we
know my
stealing your
horoscopes.
mail? That's a federal crime.
Yeah, you're going to jail, dude.
I do tend to take it upon myself to check your mail things every
gotta-
once in a while, because
we
none
gotta-
of you do.
we got to throw Matt.
I didn't
Rory
even
in the
know I
Bammer
had a
right now.
mailbox.
You have had I'm not sure that you do. You do. But then they also don't get rid of mailboxes for people who have left. I've seen one for people who've left like 2 years ago. They still have the little mail thing in there. So
Do
I
they still
check your
get
mail
Watch
so you don't have to-
magazines?
That
Gone,
mail,
but not forgotten.
that mail is up for grabs.
yeah. Thanks for having
that's
me.
lawless, man. Yeah, thank you for being here
No worries.
on the occasion of the release of a new World of Warcraft expansion.
It is out today. It was out yesterday. Of all
Yeah, worldwide launch. I
Respect music.
started playing World of Warcraft again.
Good. Glad to have you back.
It's bizarre.
That's not the word you hear often when you tell somebody I started
Good.
playing World of Warcraft again.
It's the new Dota. We're gonna get you into it, Ben. too.
Wait, I'm having trouble understanding that on a conceptual level. World of Warcraft
Wait
is
till you
the
see what they
new
added
Dota.
in this expansion.
Okay, I'm
It's,
listening.
Dota.
It is so weird if you played original old WoW to come back now.
Without any kind of in between.
Well, I stopped in Burning Crusade, so that was
You
still
didn't-
10 years ago.
You didn't play Wrath?
No,
Huh.
I stopped before.
That
it
is
came
a
out.
long time to come back.
Like I had never been on a flying mount before 2 days ago.
Yeah, they launched it on Monday for some reason. It almost always comes out on Tuesday. This time they were really pushing this whole worldwide release at the same time. It actually went pretty well. The pre-expansion patch a few weeks ago went really poorly. That took like a day to get everybody back in.
I definitely saw some people that were on like certain servers that required maintenance yesterday that were not stoked.
Like that's
Yeah.
one of the weird things. I mean, like so much, like pretty much everything I have to say here is old hat for anybody who's played the
Sure.
game at all. But like the flattening of servers,
Mm-hmm.
because like you can play with people cross server now.
Yep.
Like there are communities cross server. Like
Yeah,
it
none
almost
of that ever made sense
it
to me.
almost
It's
doesn't
like
matter what server you're on.
Reading
now.
about it, I was like, oh, I guess I see why you want to do this, but as someone who has not played the game since before the first expansion came out.
Well, I mean, the game doesn't have as many people. It got up to above 10 million at the beginning of Warlords, I think, but there are fewer people playing now than there were 20 years ago. 10 years ago. So they didn't, rather than delete.
It's not that far off.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you ever played Old Republic or some of the other MMOs that came after WoW, a lot of them had to go through big initial boosts and then deleting servers and compressing them together. Their idea, instead of doing that, was you just keep these servers the same, but shard them up so that people can play cross server, which is a pretty decent kind of solution to it, I think. There might be also, if they ever get to the point where they have to delete servers, it might be a bad PR move for them. But so far, you can just play cross faction.
The only problem you run into in that case is like you might have name collisions as you merge servers, right? So you have to like give people free name changes and
Arthas.
They basically retired all of your character names if you hadn't played in a long time.
Yeah,
Because when I
man.
got back in there, all my character names were like the first 5 letters and then like 6 numbers.
Yep. They did that for,
So-
they cleaned up a lot of names because, to be fair, there were a lot of people who played that in 2004 and 5 and then never logged in again. So
It is.
go ahead and get rid of them.
It is extremely surreal to log back in and pick up a character that I created during George W. Bush's first term. Like it's really crazy.
That game is super,
You have
super long.
played a game at like a completely different stage of your life
Yeah,
and
they've
come back and like it's not like finding an old NES cart with like a save that you found on it or something because this game has been running.
right.
People have been playing this game and they have been updating it constantly since then.
Yeah, every 2 years, new expansion. This one is coming after Legion. So you logged in, you saw that there was a lot of build up to this expansion too, which is pretty good.
They do cutscenes now.
Yeah.
Like not just like one
Yeah.
big CG cutscene and then that's it. Like there's
They-
all kinds of in-engine cutscenes and like all the quests are voiced now.
They
and,
did 2
and, like,
CGI
it's-
cutscenes this time around. Did
Yeah.
you watch the Sourfang one? The old
Yes.
soldier
Wait,
one?
when you hang on. When you say all the quests are voiced, you mean like instead of a pop-up that says "Go kill some rats"?
No, you
and-
still get
like-
that.
Okay,
You still get the pop-up,
but
they
also,
voice it.
voiced. Okay,
Yeah.
Go kill some rats.
okay, all right, yeah. It's,
For
it's just
the-
the Gauntlet announcer, the Gauntlet Legends announcer.
For the
Use
first,
weapons to kill rats.
Alliance Orc needs to kill rats badly.
I mean, I will say right up front, all the fucking quest design is still the same.
Yeah, you're killing a lot of rats.
Like I mean,
and-
they occasionally they seem to do some interesting mechanic stuff. Like oh now I'm in a robot suit for this mission and I get to
Yep.
use these weird abilities.
Oh,
to,
you missed out
to
on
kill
vehicles,
50
too.
rats instead of 10.
You missed out on vehicles too then. So yeah, the game's changed a bunch since you played, and a lot of people are probably experiencing that too, even if you come in. A lot of people played Legion. It's been the same classic like year since anything happened with Legion. So
It's interesting because this expansion starts with you getting to watch what I think is the ending of Legion.
yes,
Like you walk up to a computer terminal, it's like to watch,
Yep.
like view a
Hang on.
vision.
Hang
Yes.
on, you walk up to a computer terminal,
but it's made by the gods.
It's, okay. Oh,
It's like
okay.
lit
Oh,
as-
a god computer.
it's
Okay.
a computer
I was
terminal.
gonna say, were you in Gnomrigon where
No.
machines are?
No,
and
these
the
are-
machines
these are-
have gotten better.
These are divine computers.
all computers, are
made-
divine computers.
made by the planet-sized gods that apparently you
Yeah.
were fighting in the.
the old head of the dwarf kingdom is now made of crystal, and you can talk to Azeroth.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
yeah.
duh.
I mean,
so
come on.
so this cutscene that I watched at the beginning of this new expansion starts with a planet-sized demon
Got it. Okay.
Start stabbing Azeroth with his giant demonic sword.
What's
that was
Azeroth?
Sargeras.
Azeroth is
planet.
the place.
That's the planet.
Is
I
it
feel
the
like
place, or it's not
it's the
just the
planet.
continent.
No,
But-
it's the whole thing.
But it's also the creature that Azeroth is.
So apparently,
has a spirit.
Azeroth is also a god.
Yeah, a sentient
And a
being. at
planet?
least.
I feel
I'm-
like if
anyway,
you're
it's-
fighting a planet-sized demon, you would have plenty of time to get out of the way. That motherfucker's gonna move very slow.
yeah.
When you're that big, come on, just move like
then-
10 feet to the
So
right.
is there like an Asura's Wrath like element of
It
this where
feels
you
very,
get to?
well, this is just a cutscene. I don't know if you
all
fight that guy in. The,
That is, I believe. So I think it's Sargeras who has
Yeah, it
been the
is.
big bad for a long time.
Yeah.
Before you see that cutscene, you fight the other kind of Titan Council.
is that
I
Argus?
forget. I think they've been kind of taken over under his spell or something like that. It's a very complicated fight.
It is extremely Asura's Wrath.
Is
It was
the
the
game
first thing I thought.
Is the game good?
So
I like it.
well, so it's weird because you see all that stuff and you realize how like ridiculous an anime WoW apparently got.
Uh-huh.
But everything about this expansion feels like I'm in Warcraft 2.
Yep.
Like
Okay.
they throw all that shit out the window.
And make it an
And
RTS.
it's just
okay.
no,
All right.
but it's
Okay.
just
I'm
it's just fucking humans and orcs going at it. Let's
Yeah.
go.
So I'll give a
And
quick
it's like all right, now you got to sail to Cool Taras, which I
Yeah.
think I remember from Warcraft 2.
give a quick breakdown.
And you
So-
go there and it's pirates and it feels like the naval shit from Warcraft. Like it
Killing
feels
sheep?
very much like what's that?
killing any sheep.
Not yet. But
Did
I-
anyone say a good review for Warcraft 2 to you or anything? Okay.
Hopefully that's coming.
All right.
But
So
it,
the
it
sword,
feels, it feels really back to basics in like a fun nostalgic way.
the sword in the planet brought up this stuff called azurite, which is a mineral that everybody's fighting over. The Horde thought that the Alliance was going to use the big elf tree to bring it back to the old kingdom. They blew that up. They burned it down. Everybody's really mad about that in the community.
Is Azurite basically Tiberium?
It's basically Saronite from the Wrath of the Lich King. They've done multiple items.
Unobtainium.
Okay. All right.
Is it-
Yeah,
you mean
it's
blood,
kind
blood
of
of Sargeras?
everything that comes out of the ground is like some new ite that you have to capture every year. So now the Alliance and the Horde both want it, and they're gearing up for war. You have to go to Coltiris to recruit the Coltirans, and the Horde has to go to
Yeah, like it-
Zandalar or something. to recruit
Literally,
some trolls.
literally, you start on a battleship with Jaina Proudmoore,
Yep.
and it just feels very 20 years ago
The
in,
new-
in kind of a good way.
with a new model.
Yeah,
But yeah, it was. It's been
except
a fun
her hair
launch.
is gray now. So
I played for a few hours yesterday. It seems pretty solid. I didn't notice anything super exceptionally different about it. There's all new skills and new zones and everything like that. Like you said, the production quality is really, really good.
yeah, they've like for a 15-year-old game, they've
Yeah.
bolted stuff on in a pretty smart way. Like it looks fine.
We hopped into a couple dungeons, and I was shocked at how easy they were. That was one of the big things that I noticed yesterday. You can go LFG for a dungeon right off the bat, and we just kind of steamrolled the entire thing. I'm sure it'll be more difficult when we get to heroics, but yeah, it was.
Like, do you get the impression that they made the content like at the default difficulty? Like, hey, you're intended to see this stuff.
Definitely.
You're intended to complete this stuff. And then if you actually care about stuff, go back and do heroics.
So they've been kind of alternating every expansion difficulty-wise. The Cataclysm was really tough dungeon-wise. Mist wasn't too bad. Legion wasn't too bad. I'm trying to think which one. Between Warlords was a little more difficult. But in Legion they have 4 different dungeon difficulties now. They got normal, which is super easy, heroic, mythic, and then mythic plus, which is the one they put in last Legion. Mythic plus, you have 20 minutes to run it, or you get a really good piece of loot, hopefully. But it's really kind of timed and really, really quick. So that's the one that all the high-end people do. I don't do those very often.
Pasquale was telling me because I've been away for so long. He's like,
Yeah.
you should go check out like the Lich King raid and all this stuff. And I was
Yeah?
like, I don't want to get people together. And he was like, no, you can
You
just
don't have to.
solo your way
Yeah.
through it. Like I can just walk in by myself and do this 40-man raid or whatever.
A lot of people do that just to get mounts because a lot of the
Oh, yeah,
mythic or
yeah.
heroic ones
Yeah.
have rare mount drops. I think there's one. I want to say the Lich King drop is 1.8% or something. So people run it every week and just try
Oh,
to
wow.
get it, and it takes a while to get through.
Man,
But I haven't.
good.
Yeah, I didn't play the beta for BFA at all, so I'm not really sure what I'm getting into, but definitely been playing a bunch. I streamed a couple times this weekend. We have a Giant Bomb community. So they added new chat rooms for cross-server stuff. You can talk to anybody on your Alliance or Horde. There's a forum thread for those, so if you want to talk to Giant Bomb people, we have one going.
Yeah, like the production values are cool. Like they've got their cinematic chops down. But
Yeah.
like it's just the quests being kind of all the same stuff. I feel like I'll probably play it for my 30 days and then probably tap out.
I mean,
but
at some
like-
point, quests are going to be where they're going to be in MMOs. I mean,
yeah.
it's the same across Tor and
like
everything else.
coming back as somebody who played it that long ago and just being like kind of a content tourist is kind of
Go
like,
back and do
there's-
some old raids, man. You can
Yeah.
go back and see almost anything. I wouldn't try necessarily everything on Mythic.
like I know it's super basic, but
Yeah.
the craziest shit to me is that I can be in a place and they can be like, hey, go to the city in the next zone and turn in this quest, and I could just get on a flying sky lion and point that way and just go.
Oh,
you know?
weird.
Like I don't have to wait for a ship.
Yeah.
I don't have to find a portal, and
You go
you
pretty
can
quick now.
literally just fly everywhere. Like
Huh.
you can apparently fly across the entire continent without
Huh.
a loading screen. Like
Yeah,
it's,
I mean,
like
the-
when you like just being like remembering how it used to be and being stuck to like the Griffin flight paths, and you remember
Right,
how like
yep.
burdensome it was to get around everywhere.
Well, it's cool because you would just right click on it and go there, and then
Like make
you
a
would
sandwich,
Go,
yeah.
exactly. You'd
Totally.
have plenty of time. Then everyone would just stand there where the mount dropped people off because everyone was still getting
Yep.
a sandwich or
Yep.
pooping or
Definitely
pooping
still
a sandwich, whatever.
Still like plenty of people stacked up at spawn
Yeah.
points.
Yeah.
WoW is the ultimate second monitor game with
Yeah.
Netflix. Like I would not,
Hmm.
I don't know how people play that game regularly on like a laptop without anything else to do because you spend a lot of your time just killing 8 goats at a time and finding their mutton chops.
Yeah,
And
you can listen to a podcast. and-
I prefer a more visual kind of side questing.
How are you gonna hear all that voice acting?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Like if you've been out for a long time, this seems like maybe a good time to come back, just because like they are kind of just playing on your memories of it.
It
in
seems
some cool ways.
super polished so far. I haven't seen any huge bugs. I know there were some people with authentication issues yesterday, but for the most part, everything's been really smooth. Just
There are so many other loot games out there now, and
Yeah.
other games doing this type of stuff in
the big heavy emphasis
a more
on
interesting way.
PvP is what they're really doing a lot. I think so. It's a weird, interesting kind of system where they do where each faction has 3 zones that you level up through, and then when you get to max level, you start going through the enemy zones as part of your war campaign. So they're really trying hard to emphasize PvP. You can actually opt into PvP permanently, even if you were on a PvE server. That distinction doesn't really exist anymore.
Also, you get like XP bonuses and stuff. If you
War
have
mode, yeah.
PvP
If you
flagged
act
on.
It's really powerful too. Some of the abilities that you get are super, super powerful, and for the most part, leveling up from 110 to 120, that's probably something you want on. But now I'm not really sure if how much of the faction is going to kind of mix once people start hitting max level, because somebody hit max level in 5 hours yesterday. There are people who are just super serious, more serious than I am. I streamed for about 2.5 hours, played a couple hours more, and I barely got to 111, so the first level. The economy people are all the subreddit just like, where do we go to farm stuff, and what can I put on the auction house? So the people who are playing that game are all going crazy for
Like that,
it.
that's another weird thing is the currency inflation from 2004. Like,
Yeah.
remember how hard it was to get a gold?
Yep.
Like,
Yeah.
you get like 20 gold as a quest reward now, or like enemies drop a couple gold.
Uh,
Like 1 gold used to be something you spent weeks working toward.
Well, there are a lot of
Weird.
gold sinks too, and also the big one is the battle token or the Blizzard Net token. So you can spend gold that you make in WoW on Destiny 2 if you want to, or
What?
Black Ops 4.
Oh, I knew you could spend it
Yeah.
on WoW game time. I didn't know you could spend it on their
No,
games.
when they announced that shit too, I bought my tokens when it was like 30K. Now they're like 200K. So when they announced,
Wait, are
that
those traded on the auction house?
yeah, you
So
can
like they're
buy.
subject to kind of
buy them-
market forces.
Yeah, you can buy them with gold. They go up and down. They fluctuate pretty
Yeah.
frequently. But yeah, if you want to make up a lot of gold in WoW, you can buy Destiny 2 with it, and Destiny 2 Forsaken and Black Ops 4.
Does that mean you can kind of go the other way with it and buy tokens and sell them on the auction house to get a bunch of gold?
Yep.
Okay.
That's what they did to try to counteract gold
they,
sellers.
Yeah, they just went into business to sell gold themselves.
But those
It's okay.
tokens aren't cheap, right?
The tokens, I believe, are $30.
Oh, okay. That's not too bad.
I want it
Is
30
that-
or 20 for cash because they cost more than buying a month on a
Okay.
subscription. So that's the thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
If you have a lot of gold, though, if you have a lot of money and you want to buy a lot of gold, you can go ahead and do that. They're worth a lot of gold right now.
But like a character boost to max level is 50, I think
60.
60
I wanna say
bucks. Like it's
60
basically
bucks,
the
yeah.
cost of a full game. Like,
Because
it's
you
nuts.
when you get the
Like you
expansion,
pay the cost of a game to skip a game.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, I've done all the leveling. They also, the big change between this one and last Legion was the stat squish for first off, but also the leveling. What is it called? Level scaling, where you can go through an entire zone and go from like 20 to 60. There's not that zone thing where it's like 4 levels and then you start outranking everybody.
Yeah, like since they added the scaling, you get through the intro of this expansion, and they're like, "Here are all the new zones. Decide which one you want to go to first, and then
go check
there."
it out.
Like,
Westfall.
Like that's the thing. You don't have to go to the Westfall equivalent anymore. You can. Just kinda
What
go
if I
wherever you
want to?
I mean, if you start the game, Westfall's still there. They changed everything up in Cataclysm, so the old quests are a little bit better. But yeah,
But are you saying like, okay, if let's say I have a 110 character, let's say I bought that boost or whatever, but I
you
haven't
get
completed
one
any of
for
the
free.
Okay, well,
So,
whatever. Let's say I have a 110 character that is like fresh out the box, hasn't really played. Does the level scaling mean I can go to Westfall and level to 120?
I think they're limited. So like the original game zones top out at level 60.
Got it. Okay.
I believe.
Yep.
All right.
So they are limited by expansion, but then I think after that they made it so that Burn Crusade and Northrend are both 60 to 80. So you can skip an entire expansion if you want to and still level up.
Yeah.
So you can kind of do it that way. There are limitations to it. And honestly, leveling got way slower after they did that. It's been a big kind of controversial thing where leveling is really slow now. You used to be able to get to 110 pretty quick because you could just kill everything as you level up. And now that it's a lot slower, people kind of implying that they might be selling a lot more boosts now that it's slower to get to 110. So yeah, if you jump in now, especially like Brad, if you've come from 10 years off, a lot to catch up on. They've made the game a lot simpler. They took it out.
But they don't necessarily like kind of re-onboard you in a very seamless way. Like they just kind of throw a lot of shit at you and expect you to figure it out.
Well, if you want to play, there's a thing called a trial for 110 at the login screen. So if you do a 110 trial, you kind of like get a max level character and just kind of get to play around with it without actually making any progress. And if you want to buy the character later on or buy a boost, you can do that.
Yeah, that's a cool feature. There's a lot of smart.
It is, but just
like
a huge game. With
but
a
in
lot
terms of
weird
just
shit.
like, like now you have a collections tab, and then there's your spell book, but also your talent tree, and that's been completely rebuilt.
Talent trees.
I'm sure it's been rebuilt 7 or 8 times since the last time you saw it.
You can transmogrify stuff now, and it's just on and on, like new menus and pages of shit.
Pet battles.
Yeah, there's like a Pokemon system in there.
Fishing. I started cooking last night, and I realized I'd have to fish to start cooking.
Do you still have a cooking and fishing stats?
Yeah,
Do you just still get like fishing 300?
I skinned and mined this morning.
Did they ever make changes about translating Horde language?
No, that was something
that was something like I remember
during the
beta before it came out. It was like
cool
like the more of it you heard, the more of it would start to translate.
Or like you'd be able to find books that would help you understand. Did they
ever revisit that?
Nope.
No,
they really don't like having cross-faction communication.
Yeah, I'm guessing it just turned into a griefing thing of like we can't have these people talking shit at each other all the time.
I remember one of my favorite things I ever did in beta was I was on Horde and we had people we were trying to raid Ironforge. So they sent over a huge group of people, like 3 warlocks ran over and got into a lake and like sunk to the bottom of the lake, started summoning people in and casting water breathing on them all. So we were just starting this raid group at the bottom of a lake, and they all popped up at once, like rising from the dead, and ran into Ironforge and started killing everybody.
Okay,
that's the old PvP
cool.
stuff. That is kind of cool. That I haven't seen a city raid in years. Probably, I don't even know if they.
Oh, that's right. I remember that stuff.
I think there's a mount you get for killing all the faction leaders, but I think they've kind of. I honestly haven't said it. Mostly rogues coming in and killing your auctioneers is as bad as it gets, but. They're really trying to put the emphasis back here with kind of that old Terran Mail PvP stuff from the original expansion. I haven't done PvP in forever. It's not really my big thing, but hey, maybe in war mode you can flip it on and off pretty easily. All you have to do is go to Orgrimmar or Stormwind. Maybe we'll get a few little groups together and start killing some people in the world. But like I said,
check that out.
Yeah, there's a cross-community U.S. alliance. There's a link in the forums. I'm also on the Tazwell Covenant, which is a pretty active guild. I think their link to their Discord and stuff is in the forums for World of Warcraft.
My understanding is the guilds are like the one thing that's still tied to servers.
Yeah, you can't cross.
I can't join that guild because I'm on a different server.
But you don't really need to at this point, which is also people have this constant complaint about the game about lack of server identity and stuff like that. Like in vanilla, if somebody ganked you enough, you'd know names from people on the other faction. Like you know who fucked you up. And that's really kind of gone away because now you can have the pool as a million people that could be doing it.
On the upside, maybe I can actually buy a Ner'zhul server blade one day.
I don't know. Yeah, I have no idea.
I want to say they sold that one.
Oh, they
got didn't they?
Well, the server still exists, so I would assume they would keep getting rid of more stuff. I don't know. Maybe that's just an anniversary thing.
I'm always fascinated by the IT work that has been going into World of Warcraft for 15 years. I mean, everybody in this room, except for you two, we all played on the same server at launch.
Yeah.
And
the whole fucking office. Like, I went back and looked at Greg's review of that game yesterday because no game before or since ever took over the GameSpot office.
It was an immediate
the way that game did.
problem for them that they knew.
There were like performance issues, like people
I think
missing work and stuff.
I was the same way.
It was
Absolutely.
rough.
But I think they said at the launch they expected like 300,000 people, and I think they got 1 million the first day or something crazy like that. So the first month of that game was very unstable. But since then, they've done an amazing amount of work just making everything, because every launch that you have to have a lot of availability for connections, and it's always the authentication server that goes down. So still had some problems with it yesterday, but
I wonder how many things like buried deep in World of Warcraft are like problems they can never fix. Like I wonder like how many like engineers that have been there a long time are like, man, if we could toss all this and start over from scratch, we would do it so much better.
Yeah, like coming back to it,
and
even
it'd
with
be so much more efficient.
Like even with
and-
everything they've added, you can tell it's still the same tech. Like
Yeah.
there's all the little idiosyncrasies are still there.
they've done some stuff recently that they kind of said that they'd never be able to do. Like they expanded the amount of backpack slots you have. That was always like hard coded. I mean, now if you have an authenticator, you get 4 extra backpack slots. And they also did the stat squish recently where they changed. Everybody had like 5 million health and you were doing 1 billion damage. They wanted to make those numbers smaller every once in a while periodically. And what they said they did this time is that they kind of threw out a bunch of database stuff. And now if they want to make every monster between 60 and 70 have 10% less health, they can go change that in one place before they'd have to do it like 800 different monsters. So that process, when that actually went live, was a disaster. Like it really took a while, like a whole day for people not be able to log in. It was a really bad patch, but they seem to have gotten rid of most of that. I was shocked. It was really weird. Yesterday, 3 p.m., there was no server downtime at all. It just went live. The quest went live. You could log in and start playing. Not even log in. If you were at the marker where the quest was, no downtime.
Just popped in front
Just
of
popped
you.
in front of you. Yeah.
Wow.
I wasn't on right then. I was
Yeah.
preparing to stream like half an hour later because I
Yeah.
kind of predicted it might be a little more shitty than it was, but it was apparently just, hey, everybody just started going.
Well, good on them.
Neat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a cool game.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like I said, it's fun to come back to and just sort of traipse around and look at stuff. But like the last thing I'll say is I don't know how I feel about that classic server stuff now.
Oh, yeah.
Like seeing how much they've streamlined and like just allowed you to
Yeah.
skip a lot of the tedium and stuff, and
If
then
you wanna-
thinking about what that game originally was. Like,
you-
do people really want that?
So they've already announced they're
I
going to
think
be.
it's people. It's not necessarily that they want that. I mean, there are probably some people that do want that,
Yeah.
but I think it's that stuff you talk about, like server identity and that smaller feeling that the game had.
I think some
It's
people
probably
said they want like
more-
the slower leveling too.
Yeah,
and
but
stuff,
but
right?
like a lot of the stuff that comes with that, like slower leveling isn't inherently bad.
I guess so.
Well, they've already announced they're going to base that on, I think, the last patch before Burning Crusade came out, like 1.5. Fires of War or something they called it. So they already have a patch in mind that they're building it on. But then there's all this other stuff that's been built into the game, like looking for group tool where you can just hit a button and automatically be warped into a dungeon with 4 other people. I can never do without that. The auction house, a lot of stuff. Like, are they going to allow add-ons that exist now for this kind of stuff? Are they going to do the new graphical models? Like the old 2004 game is pretty fucking ugly. You can go back and see like Molten Core if you want to. So there's all kinds of decisions they're going to have to make in terms of accessibility versus authenticity to the experience from 2004 or
Yeah,
5.
like, are they going to reduce some of the attunement requirements that took people like months to
I
do?
know. Are you going to, because I think one of the things that they've been doing for a long time, like LFG, and then they did LFR, where you can hop into raids. I never did a raid before LFR came out. I think at some point they did. We were talking about it on Discord. I think at some point they took the numbers, like the amount of people who even went into Naxxramas at the time was like 2% of their entire player base. They're spending a huge amount of time and effort on these raids, and a lot of people just weren't seeing them. But I have a feeling if you're going to play vanilla, you're probably already want to be raiding, and you're probably going to be the kind of person who has 2 hours a night to go collect mats for potions, because I'm not even talking about playing the raid. I'm talking about collecting materials
know.
to get ready for the raid.
I know.
And the whole other thing is like, is it part of the base subscription? Is it an extra subscription? How is all that going to work? They haven't set any kind of time or frame, but I was shocked when they said they were going to do it. I don't know how much time they're going to do, how much development resources they're putting into it, but I'm very curious if the people who say they want to play vanilla actually want to play vanilla when it actually comes out, because it's
Or are they just chasing the feeling that they had
Yeah.
14 years ago?
Well, yeah,
which is
and-
impossible to recapture.
Right, and the actual answer is probably somewhere in the middle, and it's going to be different for every single player as to which features they want and don't want. Like, if you told me, hey, we've got the content of vanilla WoW, but also like what would sound interesting to me is we've got that throwback WoW shit.
Yeah.
From whatever patch that you say that they're building on, fine, whatever. But then the conveniences of more modern WoW, like the ability to find a group more easily, the ability to get a raid group together in a more modern way, like those kind of like things that are not necessarily just like developments in WoW, but developments across
Like
video
quality
games.
of life,
quality of life type stuff.
adjustments
Absolutely.
that
Like,
modern video games all have, and it'd be weird to go back.
it would be. It's almost like I think the thing I would be looking for personally, and this is theoretical because honestly, I'm never probably going to touch it, regardless of what they do. But it would be like a World of Warcraft remastered.
Yeah,
it would be like, here's the modern WoW client, old WoW content.
It's like how the RE2 remake is using
Yeah.
modern controls instead of tank controls.
Exactly,
It's like
yeah.
you don't actually
want
want to go
that.
back and play this.
Yeah, you think you do, but you probably want something that is a little more, at least a little more modern.
Yeah.
Well, they have.
And if people, because honestly, if people want that, you can do that.
Yeah, that's the thing. They already have enough of a data points collection from these pirate servers that people have been playing for a long time. Like what people are into, how they work, what people, because they're a variety.
And if they don't do what people want, then those people will just continue to run private servers.
Yeah.
It's not, you know.
So it's a huge, weird thing for them to even be dancing around, and I'm really curious how it all turns out. But they haven't said barely shit about it. They just said we're doing it. No idea when. No idea what it's going to look like. So
BlizzCon's coming up.
yeah,
if they're going to have anything more to say,
they've said they're going to do more
Diablo
stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming,
which is good because I think that might be the one Blizzard game left that I feel like I want to play a lot of.
Play Diablo 2 remastered.
No.
That's kind of the
I
implication
probably
from-
would. Yeah, I probably would check it out, but like I don't necessarily I don't necessarily need a remaster of Diablo 2.
Yeah.
But at the same time, what would a Diablo 4 be but a pretty similar game
Yeah.
that is
Nobody
in
knows.
many ways like Diablo 2 and 3.
They were talking about doing a Diablo 3, maybe a new class or something. At this point, like if I'm
Yeah,
going
they
to
did
play,
that Necromancer a year
Yeah.
or two ago.
Yeah.
but at this point, if I'm going to play, the other option is Diablo 3 on Switch. But at this point, if I'm going to play one of those games, I'll play Path of Exile. Like that's the
Yeah,
one that's
there are options out there.
I'm
$30.
curious to see what the new Torchlight ends up being since it's like kind of
Somebody on our forums had some data that I didn't, because all I saw was the opening cutscene thing that they put out. But somebody on our forums, I made a forum post about it, and somebody replied with more data about who's involved with it. Apparently, it's not only Max Schaefer, but apparently a fair amount of Runic Games people.
Yeah, it's a bunch of people who worked on Diablo and Torchlight.
Yeah, so
Like the composer from Diablo is back. Like
I heard MMO thrown around though.
Yeah,
so.
but it's the way I heard that. The context, I think, because they put out a press release with some of those details. It wasn't just the trailer.
I think the language they use is like shared world.
Yeah, the language they use sounds like Guild Wars.
Cool.
In terms
you
of,
think that's what it is?
Like Guild Wars 1, like shared social space, but instance.
Not MMO. Like you're not going to run into random people out in the world.
They weren't specific about it,
Yeah.
but when I think about what they would be likely to do in that sort of situation,
probably
that's
right.
my guess.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's what I want.
That's probably
like,
fun.
If you're asking me, do you want a game like Guild Wars 1 or like Guild Wars 2? I'm choosing Guild Wars 1 every fucking time.
I want to see some people's cool outfits that they spent hours and hours getting
like,
cool
I want to
sparkle
socialize
effects.
with those people and then go, let's go fight a thing and sparkle together.
Yeah.
And go off and do it.
Well, I mean, it's a Chinese publisher, right? That
Perfect World
took it over, so
Yeah,
they know.
I think they probably own the Torchlight name.
at
this point.
they know their
because they bought
cosmetics.
Runic at some point and then or whatever it was.
It's a weird to think back on, new WoW versus old WoW. Like the amount of water that's gone under the bridge in the MMO space has been.
That's the thing.
It was like the VR of 2004,
Right.
Everybody thought it was going to be
That's the thing
huge.
with the classic WoW stuff. It's like the things that made WoW amazing in 2004 are super old hat at this point. And
It's stuff that like made it different from EverQuest. It's stuff that made it like more convenient for like for a mainstream audience in a way that like games that came previous to it didn't do.
And if it was your first MMO, it was also just the things that MMOs do.
Sure,
For me, it was the big, seemingly endless. It was the sense that this world never ended. Like you would never run out of places to go and new stuff to see.
And it's funny.
Like that has been done 1,000 times now.
It's funny to think about how many WoW killers
Yeah.
have come and gone, and here we are still in 2018 talking about WoW.
Yeah.
Right.
The big rumor is that they might shut down Old Republic at some point.
Yeah, I had
feel like
heard
that's been-
I had heard a very unsubstantiated rumor that was maybe going out this year.
Yeah.
or next.
When I played that game, I had a really good time with it. It did really good cutscenes, but that was the game where they said every quest you do has full voice support for the guy telling you to kill rats. And all I could think of when they said that, what a fucking waste of money. Holy shit. Nobody's going to sit through all this shit.
Like, the cutscenes were all right, but not worth watching. You know, like I didn't care enough about the lore in that game to even have like they had romance options, and I was like, I don't give a shit about that.
All I did, go up and click on the dude, read it real quick, click accept. You'd be 5 words into his voice thing. Voice stuff is severely overplayed.
I had a hot month or two with Old Republic back then,
that's fun.
and then
I logged in.
You had to get back to Star Trek Online.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't know.
Oh, we got to go back and try out that DS9 stuff on Star Trek Online.
I think there was just some other new announcements about some other shit they're adding too.
I forget. It was a very
They're bringing
famous.
Picard back.
Yeah. That's
No, it was something else I remember too. But DS9 stuff, I'd love to see. But
If I'm going to play a Star Trek game, it's going to be that next generation content for that VR game.
yeah,
Which I have.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's the stuff I want to see.
Anyways,
If I'm
World of
playing
Warcraft-
Star Trek content, it's going to be that SNES game
Okay.
or that PC
Oh,
Star Trek
God,
25th
let's
anniversary.
Let's play
game.
Judgment Rights.
Anyways, World of Warcraft, things are going well.
Yeah, it's cool. Like if you've been
yeah.
out for a while, like now seems like a pretty decent time to
Like I said, there
check back in for a month or whatever.
community chat rooms available. Links on the forums. There's I'm in the guild. I think the guild's kind of open if you want to join. I think Ice Crown or Malagos are the 2 servers, but I'm hoping to be streaming some more at some point. I streamed yesterday the beginning parts of it, but I always get weirded out when I'm streaming just leveling because I personally, if I watch people doing that, I am bored as shit. So we'll maybe come back when we get to max level, and if you feel like doing anything at max level,
I would hop into some stuff.
You, me, and Pascal, we'll get a little voice chat going.
Yeah, I would like to see at least one of the new dungeons
Before
I tap out.
You can hit the LFG button and just hop right in. They are super easy. So
When do you think will there be so like one of the things I liked in WoW that things like Destiny failed to replicate was that you got little mini raids throughout.
yeah,
It wasn't all super in game, like you would hit Scarlet Monastery halfway through the leveling curve.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
Like, do they still do that? Am I going to get some cool 5 or 10 man stuff?
they used to do 10 mans. Now they're variable size raids, which is one of the bigger changes from a long time ago.
The main point is, am I going to get that stuff soon, or am I going to have to level through everything in this before I see
The
that stuff?
first raid comes out on I think a month from now, September 10th or something like that. So
So
the dungeons,
it's all in game type stuff.
yeah, the dungeons will probably lead up to the storylines of the raids.
Yeah.
And there'll be a lot more cutscenes to come. They have gotten really good at their in-game cutscenes stuff, but hopefully, if I'm still playing in a month or so, we might stream some of those raids too.
Cool.
Fun game. I like it. Everybody else should play it too.
Sure, they'll get right on that. I'm sure.
There's only one video game.
What's that?
It's fucking Dead Cells, man. It's all I can think about. It's all I can do. I've played now. I could probably look, but I restarted it on the Switch. I had played maybe, 10, 12 hours on PC. Now I'm got to be 40, 45, coming up on 50 maybe. God, it's so good.
It's pretty good.
It's so fucking good. Oh my God.
You just got to the third boss.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to that guy last night not knowing it was going to be a boss when I went through that door, and I was like, fuck
Yeah,
this.
because it's
And I
usually
turned it off.
2 between bosses.
Yeah.
Unless you're going through the sub routes.
Because I think you beat the
Fuck.
what is it, the
The timekeeper.
timekeeper.
Yeah.
You beat him, and I think it's only one more level and then the next boss, right?
Yeah.
I got through that first level, and then I saw it was another boss. I was like, fuck this.
Which boss was it? The Watcher?
Oh, is it
or-
random?
I'm not
I had
sure.
the hand of the
The-
king.
I'm just trying to remember what the.
I thought.
the
Okay, I
order
thought you
is.
were saying it could
the
vary.
hand of the king.
Yeah, the hand of the king. Because you see a guy on a throne, but then another dude is the guy you actually fight.
That's right.
And he's got those disappearing ice platforms that you can jump up. Oh my God.
Summons a bunch of elites on your ass.
Ugh.
Yeah, I
He's a MFer.
Yeah.
I saved that. I will come back to it. Do you guys save scum in that game?
No. What? You can't. I didn't even know you could.
Well,
Are you just re-rolling at the beginning? You didn't like your
certain
loadout?
platforms would make it easier to do
Okay,
that.
sure.
Oh yeah, so you're just doing cloud saves
Or I
on
guess
PS4.
Actually,
and,
PS4 might be the only one
yeah,
that makes it
'cause Xbox
super
doesn't-
easy.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I guess you could
You
do
could
that.
do
I have
that.
not. I've played it on every platform but Switch now. I've started on the Xbox One version. I don't even know why. It's just like I'm not. I don't want to do the leveling. Like unlocking all the items all over again. But I was like, oh, I want to check it out on Xbox. That seems like a good version to play. Got like the first 3 achievements. And I was like, what the fuck am I doing?
Yeah.
Like I've already put a dozen plus hours into my new save on PC. Like it'd be dumb to do that again. So I went back to PC.
I'm really continuously amazed by the fact that I haven't found a weapon combination that I'm just like, oh, this is unplayable. I am at the very least having an adequate time with the weapons I enjoy the least.
I don't like the spears.
Oh, see,
The Impaler?
Yeah, the Impaler. That's what. Yeah.
I don't like the mallets.
I mean, I can use them, but
that's just the one with the really heavy overhead swing.
I would choose almost anything over those 2 weapons.
See, like the thing is, I do have weapons that I prefer less, like the kick, the Spartan sandal, and stuff like that.
That's the third one, actually. Like,
give me a fucking whip. Holy shit, dude!
Yeah, I like the whips.
My longest run has ever been with like whips, trying to be
whip and sword is me too. It's especially that one whip with the critical hit right at the tip. I forget what the name of it is, but it like has a point that like is a little whip point, and if you hit them at the very tip of it, it does a crit.
This run I've got going now is the first one where like I've been just going straight survivability on all the mutations, like extra life, 30% health, like lifesteal or whatever, like all that stuff. And then I finally decided to reduce cooldowns.
Oh yeah.
And then I got a really good ice grenade and a really good trap and a really good bow. So every single enemy I roll up on, I just freeze them, trap them, roll back, and bow them to death. Like there's like no combat anymore.
Actually, I had a run that went quite a while. I was dual bowing it, which was amazing. I got like an ice bow, and then I got one of the that has the unlimited arrows. And it was a legendary too. So it was like whatever stat I upgraded. Yeah, that was the most powerful one. I was oh man,
like that.
Do you have that like mutation that gives you bonus DPS if there's no enemies next to you?
Something like that. Yeah, as well.
It's ridiculous. Yeah,
so many cool options in that game. I love how like they just organically pop up.
Like I went through that level after the clock, whatever. Basically, not knowing how any of those new enemies attack. Like, I didn't really see their patterns because I was just literally just immobilizing them and then killing them from afar.
I'm gonna say that game might be my favorite early access game to ever come along, because even when it launched on early access, it was totally playable and fun and super.
I put in 100 hours on the early access version for sure.
I haven't played it since it went 1.0, but I'm intrigued by the Switch version. But something about that.
They say they're working on performance. Yeah, that's their big goal now because enough people complained.
I still only have a couple instances of frame loss throughout multiple games. I'd say maybe happens one every 7 or 8 runs. So it's not like hugely noticeable, but there are moments where, like especially if I'm dropping through a platform and I lose frames and I'm suddenly on the ground in front of an enemy.
Oh man.
Like you've taken damage due to performance issues.
Yes.
That's
a bummer.
It's a bummer, but I'll stick with it. And they say they're working on a patch now. Hopefully they'll be able to eradicate that. But the thing that I just keep becoming in awe of is the progression of the game. Like it when it first started out, I was like, okay, I'm gonna just get cooler and cooler weapons. That'll be the main draw or whatever. But like how Jason alluded to, there's a lot of options with your mutations you're taking. When you start unlocking the items like vampirism and some of those other ones that you're just. I remember the first time I used it, I was like, "This sucks. This is like a one-time per level thing."
So you're saying vampirism sucks?
I'm saying I at one point thought vampirism sucked, but now I think it rules. I think
you think vampirism rules.
Yeah, I would invite it into my life.
Okay, all right.
And just like the way that you can really, you can like go hard in one direction. You can min max. You can or you can just kind of go for well-rounded runs back to back. You can go for like the balanced blade, and I want like a little bit of DPS. I want some survivability. I want some trap usage.
So I think my best runs have been those kind of more well-rounded, like balanced blade and the freeze, the Sub-Zero shit.
I heard they changed the bosses where you could only do like 5% health of theirs max per attack, which kind of dampened the glass cannon kind of builds like huge high damaging attacks. That's what I heard. I'm not sure if that's 100% true or not. I heard the bosses used to be easier to do before the 1.0 patch came out.
You could build 4 bosses.
It definitely seems like there are going to be cases where like the crossbow deployable.
Yeah.
Like those seem maybe I'm not gonna say too good, but they seem good against a lot of the bosses because like they don't necessarily, the bosses don't always move around a ton.
Sure.
And so if you're dropping them near there, you can just kind of avoid and just get away from shit and still could do continuous damage.
I've only ever gotten to the first boss, so I'm not the expert on
I did notice some of the bosses will build up resistances. Like I had an ice grenade on the first boss one time, and after like 6 or 8 grenades, he just starts.
And it seems like you can still occasionally get ice in there, but like
it's like it kind of the moves grow stale in a sense where you need to refresh them by hitting them with other moves.
Yep.
And I mean, like I really like that. Just you learn so much about the game by playing it. You learn these bosses' attack patterns, but then you start to learn, okay, so like the Timekeeper has that move where he winds up his sword and throws it at you, and if he catches you, he pulls you in. I was getting hit by that a lot, but then I realized if I had an ice grenade, I could just save it for when he pulls me in. And
I did the exact same thing.
Stuck in place, and then reposition. And just there's so many little instances like that, even with just normal enemy interactions. It's really a tremendous game. It's a game that it gives you back as much as you put into it, which I really appreciate.
I will say the one mistake I made, like probably the worst thing you can do starting out, is to focus on those expensive, like generic character upgrades first. Because I just unlocked the 3rd health flask, which is like 250 cells, which is a lot early game. But you have to do that at the exclusion of all the weapons, which means I've played like 12 plus hours of the game with basically the starting item pool. And that gets old pretty fast. Like that game lives and dies by its combat variety, so you should really go for weapons first when you start.
I would say
just to give yourself more stuff to do.
My only minor gripe with the game is as I unlock cooler and cooler weapons, the odds of me getting those weapons goes down just by the nature of there are more items now in the pool that it randomly draws.
I've actually held off on getting upgrading some of the bows because I like getting the ice bow more often.
Yeah.
The upside is it's not really an exploration game or puzzle solving. Like there's not Metroidvania stuff in there. It's just a combat game. So like you need a lot of. Like the combat needs to be interesting every time you go through it.
And the thing is, you don't have to spend a lot of time with a loadout you don't like. You can reset at the beginning. The only time I really find myself resetting at the beginning is if I get like the same 2 items that I had last run. I'll be like, okay, I just want something fresh. I'm never really re-rolling to get my preferred setup, which I was worried that might happen to me.
Yeah.
But it's just a fucking tremendous
game.
It
is some game, and I feel like every other game of that nature that's coming out right now is suffering in comparison to that game.
Yeah, I feel like Hollow Knight still has that really rabid fan base because
it's an exploration game. It's a very different thing. Like Dead Cells is not a Metroidvania style game.
No.
It has a lot of the trappings of it.
If you didn't have one of the two, if you didn't have either of those 2 games, those are both like similar enough where it's just like, ooh, which like, you could see people pitching you on them saying the same things about each one, kind of.
I can't tell you not to play those games at the same time because I tried that for a week when they were both like becoming popular. And the movesets are similar enough to the point where you could do it, but then in emergencies you hit the wrong button, guaranteed every time. So,
I would. It's hard for me to see a world in which someone recommends Hollow Knight over Dead Cells, even though they're pretty different games. Yeah. But I just don't like Hollow Knight at all.
Yeah, Hollow Knight's it's one of those games where you got to play. You got to get through the first 10 hours, and then it kind of opens up, which is a big ass.
It's a big ass. A big chunk of it.
Why though? What is so different after 10 hours?
For me, the first long time of it is getting used to the world, and not the map system
you start buying like the handful of those key upgrades that kind of take some of the burden off of you.
You get better, obviously, but obviously just the barrenness of that world is really tough to overcome early on. There's no color to it. You're just kind of like smashing bones, and it feels like a very dead world. When it opens up a little bit more, there's some better environments, and you're talking to more people. I didn't actually ever beat that game, but I've always wanted to go back and try it. But
I could see myself going on vacation and playing it. Like I need to be in a vacuum space to play that game. I need to be able to like, okay, I'm gonna put 10 hours.
Yeah, I kept thinking about picking up the Switch version, and then Dead Cells came out, and it's like, no.
I bought that Switch version. I restarted it, and it's a game, but I admire the like artistic design part of it more than I ever anything else.
I do
but,
like the aesthetics a lot.
I mean, it's the common complaint, but the math system in that game is fucking bullshit. I really hate it.
Yeah.
I get there's probably a reason they did it that way, but wandering through and not even being able to see the map that you're in, not being able to explore it, is a real bummer. Like
that's a huge turnoff for me.
Yeah, I've heard that's the number one complaint that I hear from most people, and I assume at this point, Hollow Knight 2, they might, I don't know, maybe they'll double down on it, but not being able to see the map that you explore was a huge bummer. Like, oh, you just got to find the guy who sells the maps. You got to listen for his whistling. Like, no, sometimes I wander through like I spent like half an hour sometimes without finding that dude. So, that was rough. That was a really annoying part of it. It's really fun, really smooth to play. But when I stopped, I got to a boss that had A1, he had a lantern so you couldn't see the entire screen. And also he had those Castlevania ghosts going back and forth. And you're going up and down multiple platforms.
Like Medusa heads?
Yeah. Ugh. So I would drop down to a platform to avoid him and land right on one of those. And it just felt like a super fucking bullshit fight. So I stopped playing. So, but up till then, I had a good time.
All right. Jason, have you finished Dead Cells since it came out?
No, I haven't actually. Yeah,
Okay.
I went back to the PC version, and then I realized that I don't have like two of the runes, like the Travel rune, the Spider rune.
Oh yeah,
and the Ram rune. I don't have, so I've been unlocking that. I got the Ram rune. And,
also, you can't get to the end of the game without those.
Well, yeah, you can. You totally can.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
but I want to go back and get some more blueprints. So I tried actually doing like a speed run type thing, and I got to like parts where I was like 8 minutes ahead of like the door was opening up. So I got some blueprints out of that, and just kind of filling in some gaps.
Fucking speed doors.
That's one thing I can't.
Annoying.
Yeah, one thing I can't do.
I pretty much always burn through the first level fast enough to get the first one
Yeah.
on the second level, and then after that, I'm just like,
No.
Where it really matters is the ones that have blueprints in.
Yeah.
them. You know, otherwise you're just getting like a bunch of gold and maybe some
and
cells
some
as well.
cells that you missed basically by
exactly.
running. Yeah, makes sense.
I actually prefer just cleaning out the entire level unless
Yeah.
I know that I'm going on
same.
speed run or something.
I'm
like
the same way.
Yep. It's a heck of a game.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah.
That brings us to our first break. Let's go take a break.
It is warm in here.
I don't know about you, but I love getting on the web.
The internet.
Yeah.
The web is on the internet.
The World
It's
Wide Web.
part of the internet.
Yeah, I dial into my Slip account,
It's
and
like-
then I use my graphical interface to browse the World Wide Web.
It's kind of like Gopher.
It's kind of like Gopher, but with pictures.
Better, with images and hyperlinks.
Yeah, it's hyperlinks.
Yeah.
Wow, that sounds advanced.
Hypertext.
Whoa, okay. You're literally...
It's not just text, it's hyper.
Oh, okay. All right, I didn't realize that this text was more than just text. It's conveying information. It's got links. It's rich text.
What if we came up with something better than hypertext?
Like what would it be like?
Like ultra text.
I was gonna say mega text.
Okay.
Like a mega texture.
I think
textual text. 1
okay.
million characters
In one character.
in one character.
Wow, man.
Yeah. And then you can click on it and it links somewhere too. It's hyper mega text.
That's a lot.
Yeah. Well, until we get there, there's always Squarespace.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. We can get on the World Wide Web. We can make new things.
You can
and
make the World
place it.
Wide Web.
That's right. Make your own corner.
You can pave the information superhighway right in front of yourself.
That's right. Get out there on the Infobahn and put up a sign that says, hey, we cleaned up the litter through here.
Lay the internet track
Next 3 miles.
for the internet train
We did it
to
with our new business.
train right over.
That's right. We're showcasing our work. We're publishing content. We're selling products and more. Yeah.
I hear content is king.
Oh, yeah. Everyone knows that.
That's the current modern day business adage.
Yeah. It's everyone says it. No one believes it. Squarespace is the tool for you if you want to get on the World Wide Web and create a website. No matter what type of site you're trying to build, they've got beautiful templates right there ready for you.
Can I put my insect collection on the web?
Absolutely.
Wow.
And they've got world-class designers that have worked on these templates. You can customize whatever you like, and it'll still look great.
Give me like a butterfly background.
Yeah, you could definitely have a butterfly background. I can say that with some amount of certainty. And if you want to sell some of your insect collection,
I don't know if anybody's gonna want what I got.
hey, I am not going to force you into this. But should you someday decide you have a thing to sell,
How do you feel about dung beetles?
strongly, I would say.
Okay, we should talk later.
I feel strongly.
You should visit my forthcoming commerce website.
No. It's got powerful e-commerce functionality over there at Squarespace, so you can sell that stuff. It's got analytics, so you can track how things are doing, how things are going. You know, maybe make some subtle adjustments to these dung beetles you're talking about. It's all optimized for mobile, so if people want to see those dung beetles on a phone, they can.
Anywhere.
Yeah.
Anywhere that the mood strikes.
Yeah. Anywhere that the signal reaches, you can see it.
You want to see some poop bugs? At any moment of the day. The internet is mankind's greatest invention.
That's what they say.
Access to the sum total of human knowledge.
That's the old business adage that they say all the time. There's nothing patch or upgrade ever with Squarespace, and you can get your own domain right from Squarespace. They'll make it simple for you to buy that domain.
Okay.
So if you want poopbugs.lol, they could hook that up for you.
Do they just have .bug yet?
I don't know. Probably not. You know, we'll probably have to. Let's you and me buy the whole .bug TLD.
Get in the squatting business.
And we'll squat all over those bugs. You'll get the help you need because Squarespace has 24/7 award-winning customer support. So if you're having trouble getting that website to look the way you need it to look for you, Squarespace has your back for sure.
They're good that way.
Yeah. Squarespace has the back of millions of people in all walks of life.
That's a lot of backs.
Yeah.
Huh.
Designers, lawyers, artists, restaurants, gyms. Gyms are people too.
Yes. So says.
That's the business adage.
Yes.
The famous business adage. Gyms are people too.
Yeah.
You can turn those great ideas into something real. That's right. Turn your dreams into reality. Head over to squarespace.com/bombcast and you can get a free trial when you're ready to launch that website of yours. Use the offer code BOMBCAST to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. That's squarespace.com/bombcast, and the offer code is BOMBCAST.
Don't manage to play anything else?
Yeah. After years and years of trying, I finally managed to get Thug Pro installed.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. This is...
Would you say that you were there doing everything you could?
Yeah. No, because you have to mod in that soundtrack also. Which I then did.
Okay.
Explain the reference.
It's Goldfinger Superman.
Yeah. Here he is doing everything he can.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, this is a mod, a long-running modification for Tony Hawk's Underground 2 for the PC.
Wait, this is not in any way official?
No.
What? Why did I think there was a product they released called Thug Pro?
I don't know.
Huh.
But it's a mod because it is the thing you kind of want out of a Tony Hawk product, especially in this day and age of all the other stuff being all fucked up. Anyway, every time I installed it in years past, I could never get the controller stuff working. They released an update back in June, adding like better support for like custom levels and custom soundtracks. And I finally remembered to give it another go, and it worked fine this time. So I got that up and running. It's cool because it's like all the levels from Thug 2 and like we'll say all the levels from Thug 1. Like it's got all the levels from Tony Hawk 4 and 3, and then it's missing some of the ones from 2.
What's Thug 2? That's number 6?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's missing some of the levels from 2, and I think it might not have every level from Tony Hawk 1 as well.
Did that have a PC version, or is this like a console game that you're emulating?
Yes, there was a PC version of the game that they are modifying because it has online support. They've built a replacement for GameSpy called OpenSpy that supports more than just this. Other games that had GameSpy support in it, you can kind of point them at a different URL and
Mario Kart
still get some stuff. There are, I don't know if it's this specifically, but Mario Kart on the Wii you can play on the internet.
Fuck yeah.
I don't know what weird hoops you have to jump through to make it work these days, but people have been also trying to build a replacement for the Wii services that have been shut down.
Wait, did they not come up with anything for that game?
No.
Like Nintendo's possibly highest selling game ever.
What they came up with was putting out another Mario Kart on Wii U and then Switch.
That's crazy.
And then now I think that Mario Kart Wii is.
I think that I would have to check, but that may very well be their highest selling game of all time.
Well, it's coming to the Nvidia Shield in China.
Okay.
And it will presumably have some kind of online support there. So maybe that'll be a way to play it, I guess. So yeah, I don't know. That was like just like yesterday that I finally got that up and running. I was pretty excited about it. So I got back into that. I've been fiddling around with some stuff here and there, but mostly I've been fucking around with streaming hardware. AverMedia sent over the Live Gamer 4K. It's an internal capture card. And since I bought that Elgato a while back, I was like, I want to see if this thing's any better than that. And it sure seems like it is. Because that Elgato card,
as far as capture is concerned, like I wanna, like it. I can't tell you how many issues I've had with like AverMedia cards in the past, as far as the recording format that it uses. It just like files going out of sync. It's a nightmare. And I don't know how much better it is nowadays.
It's specifically an issue with the like their Rec Central software or whatever.
Yeah, not necessarily the software, but even playback of the file, whatever codec they're using. You know, this is probably like a standard H.264, but. More often than not, I'll have like a lot of files slipping out of sync.
Oh, you know what? Yeah, that Hitman 2 footage I recorded at E3 was on an AverMedia box. That
did it fall out of sync?
That came out with no sound.
Hey,
at all.
There you go. Okay,
so we couldn't use it.
I will keep my eyes open. I've been just throwing it into OBS, like it's come right in, and it's been fine there so far. So I haven't really used the included software very much. They say this thing does HDR, so. That's something that Elgato card doesn't do. But I don't know what that even means in terms of like how are you going to watch, like the status of PC HDR monitors seems so up in the air right now. Like I've seen recording that footage and then, if you threw that out on YouTube, can YouTube even play back HDR videos these days yet? Or whatever.
I see monitors out there that advertise themselves as HDR, and like you dig into it, and people are like, "No, this is not actually
not
HDR
the actual standard. It's like it's a higher.
This is them
dynamic
just
range,
throwing around terms,
not real true. Like whatever was it HDR 1010? Is that the real standard?
Yeah, there's a good chance if you are just recording through OBS or XSplit or whatever, but still using that card, that everything should be okay. And I've had an AverMedia card, like an internal like PCIe, and it took everything that I threw at it. Composite, whatever, and I've whatever been, resolution, it didn't have an issue.
I've been using it. So the main reason, or one of the main reasons why that Elgato card wasn't working out for me is it just wasn't taking in some of the older stuff I was trying to hook up to it. And that's part of why I ended up going down that road of buying that open source scan converter and doing all that shit. And this stuff seems to come in cleaner and with like less issues in terms of just like supported resolutions and stuff I have to set on the OSSC to get it to display at all.
Okay.
There were a couple of like it's specifically like PS2 and Saturn, like consoles that have multiple output resolutions per game. Like Fighters Megamix will spit out, I think it's 480i for the title screen and 240p for the FMVs.
Crazy.
And the in-game polygonal stuff will have a slightly different resolution as well. And so like those changes in like mid-game are like sometimes like, oh, this one resolution doesn't work with this setting. I need to fuck with it more. And then also, whoops, this one's super shimmery unless I change all these OSSC settings. And so that's been the rub in terms of getting everything working the way I want it.
But the AverMedia has been holding up with all those different handshakes and stuff? Okay, that's cool.
It's been a lot better on those handshakes than that Elgato card was, that's for sure.
Yeah, Elgato will probably.
The trick is eye contact.
They tend to freak out when there's different resolutions coming in and out.
So. Yeah. So it's been good for that. I have not been recording video directly out of that software, so maybe it has some of that drift issue or something, but I don't know that I don't know that that's my use case for a capture card, so I'm not sure that I would ever...
Like the external AverMedia cards usually have like a spot for an SD card. You can do external capture without a PC.
Yep.
And we bought one just to kind of mess around with. But same kind of issues as well.
Yeah, so I don't know. The external boxes I feel like have always been weird for me. Yeah. Just in terms of reliable input throughput and all that sort of stuff over USB and all that shit. So it's kind of what got me thinking. Very few
options as far as like a 1080/60 like a hardware external recorder is concerned. Like even in like the prosumer level, a lot of stuff will record at they'll record raw, essentially, but they won't like record to like an MP4.
Yeah,
and
I think the interesting thing is it seems like both these cards, the internal cards, will hit your CPU, whereas obviously like the USB ones are doing compression there externally and feeding in the compressed signal. So it's been like, oh, this is hitting my CPU a little bit harder than I would like. I don't know. The AverMedia seems like it's hitting the CPU a little less, but I didn't do like A/B tests because I only got one port, so I don't have them both hooked
the
up.
Elgato's, typically pretty thirsty.
You got to get some more cores.
Seems like that for sure.
4 cores not enough anymore.
Just got to get more cores.
Apparently,
at
that
the
was
end of the day. We should need more cores.
Like I ended up getting a 7700K, which I think is what you have.
Yeah,
I almost got an 8700, and I was like, do I really need 6 cores? And then apparently, the way they were demoing those chips was to play games, stream games, and record games all at the same time. Like
interesting. Like
a game,
exact use case
and
scenario,
and 2 different video encodes all going on the same CPU at the same time. And
Yeah.
like now, I kind of wish I had gone for that.
Is that something you could do in your existing motherboard, or is that a totally
No,
different?
I would have had to get a full new motherboard and everything. So I
That's
didn't want to. Also, I'm thinking about delidding my CPU now.
Oh yeah.
Which
what does that even
talk
entail?
later.
Is that like
cutting off the heat spreader and getting straight to the die?
We'll
talk later.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot.
Yeah.
I don't know. So that's mostly what I've been doing is playing Fighters Mega Mix and watching it come through or not come through or spit out to my TV.
Did you play as the car?
No, because I don't have a battery in my Saturn, so it doesn't keep any saves.
So you have to unlock the
like
car?
like a watch battery. Yeah, you have to unlock a ton of stuff
Give
in that
you
game.
the car off
No,
the bat?
absolutely not. They don't give you the palm tree, any of that sort of stuff.
Pepsi Man.
Pepsi, no, absolutely not. You definitely have to unlock
Gotta
Pepsi
work
Man.
for that.
That's terrible.
You got to work real hard for it. And I don't even know of a good, clean way with my existing setup to like download a save and get it onto a proper Saturn. I'm trying to think if I even have a way to do that. I don't think I do. I have a way to get PS2 saves onto a real memory card.
Yes.
Which is handy if you want to not play Britney's Dance Beat, but see all the bonus content in Britney's Dance Beat.
Indeed. Which apparently is like not as substantial as we hoped.
It's,
the first video was like what, 30 seconds
The
long?
first one is the one you get for without having unlocked anything. So of course it's going to be
speaking of working for things.
Yeah, so hopefully it'll increase in depth as we move on.
The good Britney content is yet to come.
But yeah, I don't know. Thug Pro is really cool. It's like it's weird in some ways because they've modded out like you can't do career mode goals on these levels. It's really just built for multiplayer and kind of free skate type stuff. Or if you can do career stuff, I sure as hell haven't found it, but it seems like it's primarily just built for that. So I jumped online and there was a server named Marijuana, which I think makes a lot of sense in terms of like modded Tony Hawk. Yeah. Something about that checks out for me. And I was like, okay, all right, cool.
Straight into the point.
Yeah. So I played some online Tony Hawk.
You could only join that server because you're in California. Or like if you were in Nevada or Colorado or
Washington
State.
Yeah. And it was a recreational video game. I didn't have my medical grade Tony Hawk stuff. So
you can only have one skateboard for personal use.
Yeah, exactly. And I hit the limit.
You can't skate in your car.
Well, why not?
Because
it's my car.
Yeah, but it's not your road.
Fair enough. All right. I guess that checks out.
Yeah. Y'all play anything else you want to talk about?
Yeah, I played a little bit of Death's Gambit.
Did you fire that up?
Yeah,
I haven't had a chance to try
fire
it yet.
that up. Huh.
Oh,
that's a game that I really, really want to like. I've been seeing it, PAXs and whatnot for a few years now.
The footage is pretty striking.
Yeah.
What is Death's Gambit?
Death's Gambit is one of those games that we've been playing for the past few months. Metroidvania. This one leans more into like the Dark Souls style. So very like Salt and Sanctuary did. It's the 2D version of that.
Yeah,
there's a lot of equivalents.
Yeah, it's got bonfire equivalents and all that stuff.
Totally. Yeah. So there's a different classes that you can pick. Straight off the gate. Each one will give you like a different weapon. You can be mage or wield a two-handed sword or sword and shield. And I don't know that I like this game.
Yeah, I was reading impressions this morning that were not very glowing.
Right.
I still
where
want to
this
play
game
it,
needs to excel is in its combat, because it is 2D, and there's a lot of enemies on the screen. But it's not doing it for me there. I'm wielding this huge like two-handed sword, and there's like no weight behind it, behind the hits. It feels very sloppy, I think.
I saw a lot of people saying it just is lacking in like feedback.
Yeah.
Combat feedback. Hard to tell when you're getting damaged and doesn't feel good to use the weapons and stuff. So.
Yeah, and that's been the
that's
big
a shame.
Yeah, the big turn off thus far. So like I'm trying to take a closer look at some of the other stuff, but there's even a section where I'm like having to run under platforms because there's a big dragon overhead spewing fire. It's a very Dark Souls thing. It's like, oh man, you're leaning really, really hard into this. But for the most part, they've had, really good animation. The music is really good.
It looks great.
There's a, good variety to stuff, it seems so far. You've got like special abilities, like combat abilities and such. So it might open up and it might get really cool later on. I'm gonna stick with it.
Is Death's Gambit out yet? Or
it
is it out today? Or
I want to say $20 and on PS4 for sure, and PC. I'm not sure about Xbox or.
I don't think it's coming to Xbox.
You don't think so?
Yeah.
No.
I think it's just those two.
Okay.
It'll probably come to Xbox.
Well, eventually, but not right now. Yeah, that was kind of a bummer. I don't know. These games seem to have been kind of hit and miss, like Chasm missed, and this sounds questionable, but Dead Cells is great. Guacamelee looks cool.
Yeah. I've been meaning to play more La-Mulana 2.
Oh yeah, right. I forgot about that one.
I played a little bit, and it's very much the same kind of game.
Sounds like you need to take some notes to play that game.
I've heard people say that this about these games, which I didn't even know about the first one because I gave up on that one 30 minutes in.
Yeah.
Is pretty much every piece of information you get is important. Even NPCs with like 2 lines of dialogue are very subtle hints at puzzles or clues for where you should traverse and stuff like that. And so it is one of those games where it does not tell you anything deliberately, and it's all up to you to figure out, which I could use right now. One of those like fucking, it's just a big, it's like, you're literally just diving into a big cave and exploring, and you don't know what's going on. And apparently they pull a lot from Norse mythology in the game. A lot about like, Thor and Odin and stuff like that. And since God of War kind of gave me a pretty good, I'd say, pretty solid basis, and like stories here and there of different.
It's good for college credit if you finish God of War. You get like 3 credits, and
I feel like it put me in a headspace to want to figure out what's going on in that La-Mulana game. I just haven't forced myself to sit in front of it and really.
I think I had the same experience with the La-Mulana 1, where it was just like this. It was just a little too obtuse, and I probably played it for half an hour, or something like that. It was just like, oh man, maybe I'll get back to this someday, and then never did. And then I had the exact same experience with 2.
Yeah. I got a little further, I'd say, in 2. I beat a couple bosses. I progressed a couple areas in.
You got the item that lets you save.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Do they give you that fast?
If you know where to look, absolutely, it's very fast.
Right? I can admire that. I don't know if I want to play it or not.
Yeah, it's one of those
games where you have to
I
work
think
to
for
be
me,
able
like,
to save.
It was like the writing was really terrible. Like the stuff I saw right out of the gate, like from the
like caps ORLY.
Yeah, from this like Master Roshi looking dude.
Oh, that guy.
Yeah,
the pervert.
Like it just looks like a sprite rip. Yeah,
but
like seeing that stuff out of the gate, and between that and how obtuse it continued to be, it was like, oh, you could have like written something that would be like a little better and maybe helped people get deeper into this game. Instead, you filled it with dumb shit. Like, what am I even doing? And bounced off it pretty fucking hard. But it sounds like some people are really liking it.
Yeah,
so
I think I need to like just suspend, like lock myself in a room with it.
Yeah.
Find a day or two to just really dive in. But I don't think that's going to happen recently because it's TI season.
Uh-oh.
Group stages start tomorrow. Brad, are you ready? TI 8.
Boy.
Who's taking it home?
I gotta fill out my fantasy.
I actually do have to fill out my...
I filled mine out. Mine are all good.
Yours are well documented.
Yeah, mine are... you just copy mine.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I'll check the official guide.
Yeah.
God, really?
Yeah, group stages.
Man, that's not... Oh, that's okay. That's not everybody is
bracket,
in Vancouver
and
yet.
a couple
that's
teams get knocked out.
That's like hotel ballroom stuff. Right.
And then, next week is the main event.
Got to open all my treasures. All right. Well,
I played some CS:GO.
Okay.
Okay.
Like actual CS:GO or like gun game?
A little bit of both.
Okay.
Mostly gun game.
Because gun game's cool.
So because I've also played a ton of Jazztronauts.
Sure.
Which you
have to uninstall.
Yes, and because
games.
because it's a Gary's mod. Gary's mod works best when you have all the other Source Engine games installed. So it lets me.
Does that go for licensee games? Like anything built on Source?
Well, like some of the Xenoclash stuff can come in.
Right, that's what I mean.
And if you have it installed, and then in some cases you need like a spawn list, you need to download that for Gary's mod to have like the the entities that you need for Portal 2 stuff to come in and stuff like that. So it's not all...
Pull up a list of Source Engine games here.
But I want to say for Xenoclash specifically, you have to download... Maybe it's different now, but originally you used to have to download a model pack separately that you could get if you owned Xenoclash.
God, I forgot. Titanfall 2 is a Source Engine game, but it's not on Steam,
yeah,
so I
guess
that wouldn't work.
No, probably not. Anyway, so I had all these Source Engine games installed all over again to play Jazztronauts, which is incredible.
Did you play much more than?
Yeah, I did. The writing is just fun. It's just got this really cool idea. So Jazztronauts, if people haven't heard of it, it is a mod for Gary's Mod, which is a mod for the Source Engine thing.
It's kind of a sandbox.
Yeah, it's a big sandboxy thing. People have built games on top of Gary's Mod over the years.
Bathtub racing.
Yeah, Jazztronauts is a game built on top of Gary's Mod. And it's a really cool idea because it's sort of like it works with the Steam Workshop, and it will pull in a ton of levels built for the Source Engine, levels built for like zombie modes that have been built on top of Gary's Mod, or prop hunt modes that have been built on top of Gary's Mod and the Source Engine stuff. And so
it pulls them just without you having to like load anything. You just walk up to a terminal
and it'll cycle through them, and you decide which one you want to visit, and then you hit another button and it just loads it in. You get on a vehicle that then drives you into this new level. And there's a load there.
Yeah.
And that's the tech end of it.
You're kind of underselling how the traversal system actually works.
And so, but that's the tech end of it. Is the gameplay is you going into some level that was not built for this game, doing stuff, and then leaving back to the hub and basically doing it over and over again,
blowing up the level,
stealing all of the items.
But then, the actual gameplay is these cats hang out at this jazz bar at the center of time, and they employ you to go out into these levels and steal shit for them.
And then when you come back, all of the items you stole fly out of a trash chute.
Yeah, and you earn money that then you use to buy upgrades for your ability to steal shit or jump or teleport through walls, because you're going to these levels that have been built for a totally different purpose. So you need these traversal abilities. Like, I need to be able to jump higher because the scripted thing that was supposed to happen here is built for a different game.
Yeah, or like everyone's supposed to have a jetpack in this game.
Right, yeah. And so you kind of earn those abilities. So you're kind of like exploring these levels illicitly and stealing everything that isn't fucking nailed down. And so you're like, I loaded into some Christmas level, and I'm just like, fuck, all these fucking wreaths are mine. And it feels good to steal the shit. Because of the writing frames it almost in a way of just like, they literally said, yeah, go in there and steal all the fucking copper wire out of the walls. And you're like, yeah, I'm going to go in there and chat all this shit. And then you get side quests along the way for just like, one of the cats will be like, hey, I like to do the drugs. You need to steal 10 beer bottles that I can use to make moonshine, and so then you need to happen upon levels that will have creepy dolls in them, or 10 cars, or 10 or 15 radiators. And so they give you these side quests that, like, it's crazy because the level you load into might not have a way for you to meet those goals.
Yeah.
You might have to play through 10 levels or so before you find these radiators you're looking for. One of them I thought might be faked, or maybe I just lucked out because one of the characters, the singer, wanted creepy dolls, and I loaded into a level that I rounded a corner and was running around for a while, and suddenly there was just a corner that was full of creepy dolls. And I was just like, fucking awesome. And I sucked them all up, stole all that shit, and finished the quest.
And then how do you exit the levels?
So there's a separate gun that you use that creates a portal. There's a trolley that takes you into the level, and then you point it at a wall, pull the trigger, and then this trolley busts through the fucking wall. Music playing, you get on it, and it drives interdimensionally out of the level.
You do it on the ground, and it comes straight up.
Yeah, you do it out loud, it comes straight up.
It's real, I'm trying to think of something compared to, it's kind of Beetlejuice, or kind of...
I was like Wile E. Coyote, just painting a thing on a wall, and then an actual train comes out.
Yeah, and I think that, like, the writing is really, like, light and fun, and it's a free mod of, if you own Gary's Mod and all other stuff. Like, I recommend it. It's really cool. And
you can play with friends.
Yeah, you can play multiplayer. It's like 6 or 8, I bet with server settings you can probably set it as high as you want, but it's really fascinating, like from the tech end of just like going into these other levels and using them in different ways. Like that's just a really cool idea. But then like the trappings around it. So they also will spawn little collectibles in all these levels. So you'll get in there and be like, there are 6 spheres here, and you can collect them or not. In some cases, you might have trouble even getting to where they are, depending on what abilities you have and where they've been placed. And the goal, it seems like the actual goal of the game is to get 100 of those spheres, and I've gotten about 40 so far. And I don't know what happens at that point, but it's just
probably something batshit insane.
Yeah, the music they stole for the mod is really great. It's fantastic.
It gave me a lot of Persona vibes. In a weird,
just because it's cats, or
it's
like
cats
jazzy
and steely and jazzy and like very stylized.
Yep,
it's a little more like adult, I would say, than a Persona game.
There's a lot of ridiculous cursing in it. There are individual lines of dialogue that gave me almost like an Achewood vibe to it. Just certain turns of phrase that you're just
each of the characters have a very like distinct writing style.
Yes, I think it's really well made. It's a really well made mod, and if you own Gary's mod, I think it's totally worth checking out.
I will be really curious to see if that group of people makes a commercial game at some point.
Yeah, or as a group, or as individually, they end up going on to other things. But you look at it and go like, there's like fucking solid ideas here. Like the execution of the ideas is really well done. Like you look at it and go like, yep, no, there's the people behind this are smart and good. At this specific thing. So yeah, we'll see. And then that led to me playing some CSGO and some other, like I played through the first 40 minutes of Portal 1. And I was like, this is fucking good.
That's a third of Portal 1, probably?
Yeah, kind of, yeah. Once
or maybe more.
Check out Portal again.
Depending how fast you're going through it.
Once you know what to do in Portal, like you've solved it before the door is opened because they give you room to hear all the dialogue and all other stuff. So there's definitely cases where you're like, come on, shut the stupid robot up.
Maybe this time you'll find the cake.
Yeah, I hear it's in there somewhere.
Oh man, Dear Esther and Stanley Parable are Source Engine games.
I wonder if that stuff would come. So some stuff like comes in by default and some stuff does not. So
Divine Cybermancy.
Yep.
Remember?
Oh
yep.
Jesus.
Dark Messiah of Might and Magic. Sin episodes.
Yep. Sin episodes.
Like I would want to use that thing to get into real levels from those real games because most of the stuff you were finding was all user created stuff.
Yeah, it works off the workshop. I don't know if it actually ever
so you mean it
pulls-
might not be able to pull
It might
in
not be
those?
able to pull
that's
those levels. I don't actually know.
Oh, that's a shame.
I don't know about that. But
unless maybe somebody could take those maps and just like convert them into Gary's mod maps.
I mean, yeah, you can load into those maps in Gary's mod by default in most cases.
So you could maybe just like republish those maps on the workshop.
Yeah, but it seems like the most popular use of Sin episodes of all time was never playing the game. It was getting the model of the lady from Sin episodes and using her in creepy Source filmmaker shit.
Right.
Yep.
That's a very different Source Engine related rabbit hole.
Not that different.
Well, okay.
Like
Not
Gary's
different.
mod. I feel like in a lot of ways, Gary's mod led to Source filmmaker.
Sure.
Right. I mean, it's kind of the same.
Video games and the people who play them. All right. You guys want to talk about some news?
Yeah.
Let's talk about the news.
Let's do it.
Game reveals. Uh-oh.
It's not working.
Oh no.
I'm
I'm just going to have to hike up our britches and go. Okay. There it is. All right. A little roll and everything. Okay. Game reveals
Whoa.
are the top of the news.
For a second, I thought you said gamer veal. And
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, that exists. Like, put some guarana into veal. It's just a pouch full of veal and vitamin B and...
When I was in Vegas for Evo, one of our friends almost got us to go. He's like, we need to go to this buffet. We need to go to this buffet. He was pushing this one buffet really hard.
Yeah.
And we eventually got him to reveal why he wanted to go. And it's because it had a veal section of several different all-you-can-eat veals. And that just seemed like the most Vegas opulent thing. And I did not want that. That seems like that's where you cross a line and officially become a monster instead of a human.
Veal has always rubbed me the wrong way. Conceptually,
something
taste-wise,
about
like
raising things in very, very, very small cages and murdering them as young animals.
Everyone's going to draw their own line about where meat becomes murder and where meat becomes delicious murder.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Veal always.
Look, I've eaten veal. I'm not going to sit on this high horse and say that.
I would go so far as to say I will probably eat veal again.
Yeah.
But I never really liked veal to begin with. So it was easy when you find out about veal. You're like, well, veal kind of sucks anyway, so I don't even care.
I kind of feel the same way about lamb, but lamb is so good.
Lamb's all right. I'm not a huge lamb fan. Be a
like
little
a lamb
gamey.
curry.
Be a little gamey. Anyway,
I don't think I've been able to eat octopus since I found out how intelligent they are.
Oh,
like that one weirds me out.
Yeah,
a lot.
I mean, hey man, what is intelligence really?
Yeah. Would you eat people? What if it was only bad people?
Doom Eternal got revealed.
Okay.
Last week.
Would you eat a demon?
Speaking of bad people, depending on what kind.
A cyber
like an imp?
Would you eat a cyber demon?
I think imp is like a.
Would imp be weird because it's so humanoid-like?
Like a crustacean.
Would
like the outside is all bony, and then there's the meat inside. It's kind of like a.
You gotta crack it open and just kind of suck the.
Like a claw cracker to.
Well, like a pinky. Would a pinky demon be?
Yeah.
Like kind of more acceptable
Which ones are the
than
ones with the
imp?
eyes?
Pinky rump
Caco demons. Just the big old float.
That's like a meatball.
The back of the pinky is the soft, vulnerable part, so that's probably the nice choice cut.
The tail.
Right there.
But I feel like an imp is too human looking.
Yeah.
I would feel weird about it.
All sinewy.
Also, yeah, there's that too, probably. Ugh. None of that meat seems like it would be that great.
Probably not. They showed Doom Eternal at QuakeCon on Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What y'all think?
Yeah.
Looks good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doom.
The mobility is really striking.
Yeah, that was the thing for sure that stands out to me.
Yeah.
Wow, they are just leaning into this as a maybe not a platformer, but like kind of almost this aerial combat thing.
Well, yeah, they give you a friggin' grappling hook that you can use to kind of fling yourself into the air around some of these enemies,
or right into
them. Yeah,
like the big thing to me seems to be that the enemies are the grapple points.
Right.
From what I could tell, it just seems like anytime you see an enemy, you can use it to grapple.
Right, and then on top of that, ground dash, seemingly an air dash.
Yeah, I guess so, huh?
So Doom is anime now.
Yeah,
absolutely. A couple other things. There's like a horizontal pole that you jump to and could swing off of, and there was a point where you could climb up some walls.
I wonder how many of these are like
wall climbing,
and jump back and forth.
How many of these you have just right out the gate, or how many of these you're slowly unlocking?
I'm sure some of that stuff is upgrades, but yeah, like just jumping and flying all over the place. It seemed like the big thing to me.
Seemed really cool.
For me, the thing about the trailer was I think back to the first Doom trailer that they showed at E3 at Bethesda's first conference.
Right, yeah.
It looked good, it looked fine, it looked cool, but it wasn't really until you got your hands on the game and really kind of appreciated how good the flow was.
I think people were very mixed to brutal on that first reveal in terms of just like, oh, they just made Call of Duty.
Yeah.
And specifically the melee kills.
Right.
People were super skeptical about. Because like automating kills in Doom seems like anathema to the whole idea of Doom.
And then aiming down sights and stuff like that.
And it turns out that those melee kills were like one of the best parts of the game.
Became like one of the pillars,
I mean, the melee kills were the mobility because you would dash into a thing to kill it.
And also part of the loop of the kind of... Because Doom, like original Doom is largely about resource management, ammo and health and stuff. And it became part of that.
Yeah.
So like seeing this and seeing how it looks good... But I feel like it's going to feel even better. Like I can't wait to get my hands on it.
Yeah, it was definitely a different feeling in terms of just like they put out like 15 minutes of footage or something like that. I feel like I needed to see about 20 seconds of that, if that, because they have a game that is in your hands and you kind of know what they're going for. Yeah. Whereas when the first Doom reveal happened, it was like foreign. You're like, okay, what does a reboot of Doom even mean? In 2016,
like now they can pull it off and they understand what they're working with.
And you can look at what they're doing and go like, okay, I know how this feels already, and adding these things onto it will probably feel like this, and you can start to kind of form that picture. Where like, it was cool that they put all that footage out, but at some point I was like, I don't. Maybe I turned this off. I don't know. Maybe I don't need to see all this, because as soon as they said the shotgun has a grappling hook on it and showed you grappling up into the air and then winging around a Caco demon and shooting it from behind and landing, I was fucking all right.
Did it seem like there's momentum on the grappling hook where you can like slingshot and then let off and have it just keep going?
It seemed like that. Or maybe maybe it's just, maybe that was just air movement. I guess I don't know for sure. But then it seemed like that combined with that air dash, like the amount of things, just the number of things you can do in and around the air seems like the big new thing here. And I saw enough of that to go like, that's cool. I would like to do that.
Because like
and okay, good, done.
To like a limited extent, like stunt videos, like super high skill level Doom videos became a little bit of a thing. They didn't like take off super well, but like you saw a bunch of sort of trick play videos of the first Doom, and it almost seems like they're leaning into that a little bit.
Yeah,
just like, all right,
and making that more accessible by adding more tools.
Let's just give people a bunch more crazy moves to pull off.
If anything, the thing that I felt watching that footage that I looked at with a little more skepticism was the hologram lady with the voice of just like, remember the demons are mortally challenged. It was just like kind of like those kind of dumb jokes that I think like they did better. Like that specific one was just like, oh, fucking whatever. I think done better in previous Doom or so, like revisiting that kind of idea, like of, you know, space station normalcy, but overrun by demons. What does that sound like, look like, this corporation, blah, blah, blah. I thought that stuff came across a little lame this time, but at the same time, like what they showed of Phobos and the other humans there, and this Doomslayer walking in and going, fucking give me your key, give me your fucking gun, get the fuck out of my way. That works.
Yeah.
So
like Doom guy disdaining everything that he is surrounded by is like kind of the core of the humor.
And also having these guys out on stage that orchestrated the Doom revival be like, oh, we're building a Doom universe. We care a lot about lore at id. Yeah. And on one hand, I'm like, if you take the history of id, no, you fucking don't.
Yeah.
But also, when it comes to this specific Doom and follow-up to Doom, I want them to be fucking all in on the lore. I want them to fucking go all the way with that shit.
I think
in the goofiest ways possible, but also that mixture of badassedness.
I hope they don't get carried away with themselves because the first game not taking itself seriously is why that stuff worked.
Right.
Like, they need to keep not taking themselves seriously while building a larger universe. I think they can do that. And I think
but
that
the jokes need to land, which is why I think the stuff they had in the trailer, I think didn't.
I think that's them kind of subtly nodding towards the eventual Doom Wolfenstein crossover, personally. I think that they are going to establish the id universe.
Well, they did. There's a character in Doom 2 RPG named Stan Blazkowicz.
Okay.
So you have a character in a Doom game with the last name Blazkowicz. At some point, there was an interview claiming that, I'm going to get the lineage of it all wrong, but it's that BJ Blazkowicz, the Doom Marine, and Commander Keen are all directly like grandfather, grandson, great-grandson. Like
what?
That like the Commander Keen is the father of the Doom Slayer, and Commander Keen is the grandson of BJ Blazkowicz. What? I think that's the lineage. I could have it backwards or slightly wrong in terms of generations, but there was something there that was at least semi-official. Doom 2 RPG was made by id. You could take it as canon or not.
Sure.
But also,
I don't need it that raw.
Yeah. But you want to talk about raw and stuff that really actually. Here's something that pissed me off over the last week. Quake Champions. They're selling a skin pack for the Doom Marine in that. Sorry, the Doom Slayer. Yeah. In that game that has him with no helmet on.
I think Doom guy is perfectly fine nomenclature.
So just on the storefront is a picture of someone in the Doom armor with this dumbass fucking Superman ass looking head, Clark Kent looking, no glasses, having motherfucker that just looks like a fucking chump. Bitch ass motherfucker just does not fucking belong.
What celebrity's head would you want to be there if they had to get a Doom guy head like a normal person's head?
Who would be good? Man, that's tough.
I feel like I want
I don't know why Josh Brolin leapt to mind. That's maybe not quite.
I got Sam Rockwell in my brain, and I feel like he's maybe a little too wiry.
A little too slight.
Yeah. Ron Perlman.
Statham. Like not Statham with a big fucking face scar.
Okay.
Is what I see in my head, but I don't think Statham is actually the guy. But I'm saying someone Statham-esque.
Someone Statham-like.
I'm trying to pull who I'm actually thinking of because it's. Yeah, I don't know. I don't want it. Doesn't. I don't need that.
Gene Kelly.
Okay. That's kind of what. Yeah.
I mean, even the default Quake Champions Doom guy, you can see a face through that visor, which is already too far.
Yes,
I don't know what they were thinking.
So for them to just have, and it's like it's just in full view on the like you don't need to buy it to see it. It's just when you click on the store, or when it shows you. I think it just shows you by default when you launch it. It just showed like here's this guy, and I'm like, oh, do they add a new character to the game? And I looked at it up closely and went like, oh, motherfucker, what the fuck is this? Goddamn, and got really bummed out.
If they had gone all the way in recreating the little portrait from the first game.
It didn't look
3D,
enough like that.
That's what I mean. Like if they had really nailed that,
or if that had been the joke, if they just had a like
that
deliberately pixelated but polygonal Doom guy head,
like a Minecraft looking.
Yeah, because there's enough like dumb shit cosmetics in that game between like here's our Easter stuff. You know,
really
they and whatever they'll do it eventually. Like that's eventually they will absolutely do the pixelated Doom guy head.
This game makes it that long.
Yeah, it you know.
I played one match. I played one match like on the last day of QuakeCon, and it took a little while to get into a match.
Yeah,
and then once I got in there, like I might as well have not played because holy shit, just got fucking destroyed.
Well, it was the cool thing about them actually opening it up and making it free for everyone is the matches I played during QuakeCon I did a lot better at because it was a bunch of new players that hadn't played, and so I finished like middle of the pack instead of closer to the bottom.
Yeah.
The people playing that game are rude at it, for sure.
Yeah.
Which good on them, man. I can get some kills here and there against those people, but they are when you do find humans, they are usually raw as fuck.
Yep.
So it's got bot matches. You can set it to easy if you want.
I noticed it defaults to matching into bot matches.
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
They want to get you in a game.
Yeah.
The last thing I say about that Doom footage is it addressed one of my main concerns of Doom 2016.
Yeah.
A lot of variety in those melee kills, just tons of them.
Yeah.
The first game had a lot, but you were seeing a lot of repetition by the time you hit like mid game, I would say.
I did think it was very self-aware that one of the upgrades was just to double the speed of the melee kills in the first game.
And some of that is like if he's got a new arm blade and his weird flamethrower attachment, Death Stranding thing, Death Stranding but fire.
The one where he like got the one demon's heart, plucked it out, put it in his mouth,
the heart down the throat,
kicked him away, and he exploded. And
there's real silly because why would that make him? What is the heart of that thing if it explodes when pulled out? It's a lot. Again, demon lore ramifications.
There was a real good Mortal Kombat style one where he sliced up vertically through the face of an imp or a zombie or whatever, and like the halves of the face sort of fold down to the sides.
Yeah, there's some good dumb.
Ridiculous.
Also, watching that footage, you see like very much there were the glory kills they wanted to show, and the enemies that were in that state that they very deliberately gunned down to not show you what happened.
Yeah,
and I was like, all right, yeah, that's cool. All right, you specifically, you were not going all out here.
Yeah.
But there were a couple repeats in that footage, for sure.
But they showed a lot of the game.
Yeah.
I am tentatively optimistic about this weird invasion mechanic.
Oh yeah.
But I don't know quite what to make of it.
I think
so break it down.
So basically, I mean, they didn't really go into a lot of detail. They just showed a clip at the end of like a pop-up shows up in the game and says like invasion incoming, and then like he goes around a corner and here comes a demon with a player like gamer tag over its head.
Yeah.
Because you can invade people's campaign and play as a demon to try to mess with them as they go through the story, which is a cool idea.
It's a cool idea that I think over time, as that game gets, on in age post-release, you will have more people that have finished the campaign than people who are playing the campaign.
Yeah, sure.
And so you have more players on the side of, I want to invade games. And then you're like, well, there are no games to invade because everyone else also wants to invade games.
There'll be people like, I'm going to go back and play it on hard. I'm
totally.
Go back and...
You certainly will have that. But I over time, even that starts to dry up.
They could, you could see, I mean, they patched that arcade mode into the first game.
Right.
And maybe there could be something like that that encourages
like multiple
repeat playthroughs of specific levels that you can invade.
And I don't know, like you're right. But at the same time, I don't know. I'm thinking about myself here, but I think there are probably plenty of other people that played Doom once and they're like, all right, I'm cool.
Yeah.
And will might not get invaded or anything like that. So it's a cool idea. I would really like to see more of it. They also said that was just one of the things they were doing for multiplayer this time around.
Okay.
So Presumably they'll
Doom
have
Royale.
some other ideas. Okay, all right, yeah. I mean, that'd probably be better than what they did for multiplayer in the first one.
Yeah.
So
actually,
sure.
if a bunch of those demons are like designed for people to play them, like some kind of
class-based,
some kind of like demon class-based Royale thing could.
Well,
be
they showed
cool.
like one of the characters, one of the concept art bits they showed was a character where they stopped to say, "Hey, this demon sure looks a lot like the Doomslayer, huh?
Yeah.
That'll come in handy
Yeah.
with some story stuff we're revealing later on."
Yeah.
So it seems like they've got a bad guy player character that can wield the same weapons or something like that there too. So, yeah.
And then you get to use that sword thing at the end.
Oh right, yeah.
Like the thing you get at the end of the first game.
Sure.
It's launching on Switch as well, which is really cool.
Yeah.
And that's this year.
No, they don't. They haven't given a date yet. I bet that's definitely not this year.
Yeah. At this point, if they have not announced it, it's not
I couldn't
this year.
find it confirmed, but they made it sound like the Switch version would be day and date with the others.
Yeah, that's what I saw.
Okay.
Which is cool. It looks super solid. It looks like they've added a ton of stuff. I mean, the big thing for me is that the surprise factor is gone.
Exactly.
Because I remember how they didn't send that game out early?
Yep.
And I just downloaded it on Steam the morning it came out so we could do a quick look.
Yeah.
And like halfway through the quick look, I was like, wait a minute, this
might be fucking awesome.
This might be really fucking good. Why did they hold this back and not send it out for review?
Well,
But anyway, so now we know they can do it, and like it's inherently a little bit less exhilarating.
But also, like, I want to see, like, now I'm invested in those systems in a way where I want to see how they manage the different abilities and unlocks and weapon upgrades, like the stuff they built last time around in terms of like, you can turn on this rune that speeds up the glory kills. Like, what does that system look like this time?
Yep.
What other options have they put in?
They've definitely earned themselves a bunch of road.
Totally.
Like they can definitely make another one of those.
Yeah,
and like maybe a third one. You get
and
there
there was one point where he picked up a thing that turned on like one of those, like a rune-like ability there for, I forget what it was. I forget what the actual ability was, but it
was some melee thing,
yeah,
right? It was like after you do a melee kill,
like you get after a glory kill, your next melee attack does more damage or something like that. So it's like I don't know if that's a timed thing, or but like seeing that, you're like, okay, they have a lot of room to mix up those abilities and how you earn them, how you use them, what that system looks like.
Keep the combat fresh,
right?
Like
so I think
almost,
that could be cool.
This is like kind of apples and oranges, but it almost made me think of like how people play the Devil May Cry games, like the Japanese ones, like with like style grades and stuff like that. Like it's almost giving you a combat toolbox like that.
I wonder if they would ever consider like a combo counter or some kind of like, if you get out of the arcade mode. Certainly
I never played
has
the arcade mode, but it's kind of what that
like
was.
It's sort of like that, but. Putting in the main game something to further incentivize you to do some S rank combos in that motherfucker.
Yeah, that would be cool.
You just start yelling louder and louder the longer combo you have. It's just like one guy, 5 guys, and then so on.
Yep.
Yeah, that looks super solid.
Yeah.
Rockstar also showed off what the gameplay is like in Red Dead Redemption 2 finally.
Yeah, talked about
a game coming out in 2.5 months.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. But yeah, they put out like a 6-minute video or something.
Really dense. Really dense.
A lot of stuff in there.
But I feel like it's the antithesis of what Doom. Like I watched those two back to back last night. I watched Doom and then I watched Red Dead. Which, granted, I'm not like I was not a fan of Red Dead going in.
Yeah.
But having this like very slow narrated, and you'll be able to do this like kind of touristy thing going on. Just felt like the most corporate ass. Like like coming out of that, I was like, man, Rockstar used to be cool. Like they used to do cool shit. They used to put out cool trailers.
Are still
they
cool.
used to, but the trailers are still cool.
Yeah.
But at this point, with this, it felt like they got to a point where like, oh, we need to actually tell people what this game is.
Oh, people actually want to know.
And then did it in the driest way possible.
They should have just started by like, okay, fuckers, here we go. Here's all your mechanics so you can stop asking us questions.
Well, even at the end of this thing, they teased like the next trailer. Like next time we'll get into
next
mission
we'll show
design.
You what missions are like.
All right, I guess.
I don't know.
It looks great. It looks very iterative on the first one.
Yes.
It looks like stuff is better, but I didn't see a lot of stuff that really stood out as like brand new.
I feel like the first thing they say is we want to make, or like this world feels more lived in, or something along those lines, and they really get into that with like. You can. I like how they're talking about like, oh, you can escalate or de-escalate that's random situations.
That's the most interesting part for sure.
Like, did it seem weird to you at all that like the icons or the dialogue choices basically on screen? It was not quite LA Noire, but it was basically like diffuse was one of them. It wasn't like click this to say this.
Right.
It was literally like, click this to get out of this problem.
Yeah, that does just sort of reduce it to this like binary choice.
Yeah, like that seemed a little weird to me. Like whatever, the different games do that differently. I don't think that's like a make or break, but it just
like Mass Effect did the same thing, except it was like text is red and this text is blue.
But at least you had some idea
also,
of what you were going to say.
And also I feel like Mass Effect is kind of old at this point, and there's room to move forward. So
I would have an idea what I'm gonna say to diffuse a situation, though. Anyway, I'm okay with like. For me, it's more important in games where it's like Persona, where it's like the line doesn't match up what I wanted to say, and I'm actually like pursuing a relationship with this person.
Right.
Yeah. That way, like
the alternative of like you think you know what a line is, and then you say it, and you're like, oh,
and
the context of that is totally
my save
different
because now I'm dating Anna after 26 hours, and I have to go back 3 hours because I want to date Haru.
Yeah, that's way fucking worse.
The flip side of that is that it also does the thing that I love, which is that characters are aware of your actions in context. Like mechanical things you can do are things that will massage situations, like aiming a gun at somebody but not actually shooting them is enough to make them react differently, or like shooting your gun in the air apparently. Like you can do things that you can do normally that people will take note of and change their behavior.
If that system is built out sufficiently, like that's an awesome thing.
That sounds really cool.
Yeah.
The gunplay looks good.
It looks pretty similar.
They really emphasize the recoil and like how the guns shoot differently. And it's not gonna feel like modern shooter good because these are old ass cowboy guns.
Yeah.
And you're shooting them from the back of a horse that's bouncing around half the time.
But just like I don't know, they didn't show any like what was it called in the first game? Deadeye.
Deadeye. They showed it real fast.
They showed like a little.
I think they said that's going to be the next video.
Okay.
Like, we'll show you the new improved Deadeye system. I loved all that stuff. Like, I mean, you could argue that the horseback shooting almost played itself in the first one because, like, I think you still had to kind of massage a headshot, but it would basically just lock on to enemies as you were riding.
I feel like the alternative when it comes to just like, controllers and aiming and like the alternative of like not making it a lock-on system and trying to shoot from horseback.
Yeah, hitting a moving target while you were also moving, like impossible.
Like GTA games have, tried to do drive-bys in different ways over the years, and they've never quite. Well, I guess whatever, drive-bys aren't fucking accurate, so. They're not meant to be.
Yeah.
Good. I do really like the thing I like that they emphasize a lot is your relationship with your horse. Yeah. Which is something that we've never really gotten in like Breath of the Wild might be some of
Barbie Horse Adventures has some pretty deep horse mechanics where you really build a bond.
That's got horse in the name.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah.
G1 Jockey got some pretty tightly integrated.
Just horses running on 2 feet.
Although like part of it was like, if once you break your horse and tame it, like it'll control better in combat. And I was like, wait, are you saying that it will control badly if I don't do that stuff? Like, I don't know if that sounds.
Well, yeah, Brad, have you ever tried to shoot a guy on a wild horse?
That does sound cool. That sounds like one more sort of upgrade path. To put
it's like your car, right?
Yeah.
It's the equivalent of like upgrading your car.
And I really got into taming like the rare horses in the first one because they rode better.
I liked some of the stuff. I don't know if it'll pan out as like a cool gameplay thing, but what they were showing of the gang around the campfire stuff, I thought seemed like a really cool way to have like these kind of personal relationships with people. Especially if they do that well, that seems like it could be
especially
really
the idea that they implied that the camp would move from place to place. And I don't know if that'll be forced by story events or if you can like elect to set up somewhere else. Because
I think they said like anytime you're chased out of town, and I assume that is after you do a crime.
Right. Crime just got done. We have to go.
And I like that they suggest that like talking to people open up like side quests and not just relationships and dialogue and stuff, but actual gameplay relevant.
The flip side of that is when I saw dude lugging a corpse back, like an animal corpse back, and providing food for your base will improve morale. I was like, oh fuck, man, I don't want to fucking do that.
Yeah.
Hopefully you can skip this.
Yeah, I wonder if that stuff is going to be required or not.
It's easy. You just hop on your horse.
Yeah,
over the
that's
corpse.
Right. Everybody knows the skip the skinning animation trick. I don't know. The things I'm the least sold on are that it's a prequel, and that the main character just seems like this kind of unrepentant asshole.
They did throw a line of one of the lines of their script for the trailer was, very much you determine that dude's ass,
I guess so.
Which you could read as maybe he's not an asshole if you don't play him that way.
Maybe the footage they've shown previously was just them playing him as an asshole.
Could
like
be.
If you've got all these dialogue choices,
or it ends up being shades of asshole.
Yeah.
And that'd be less interesting. I
also,
guess, but.
as much as I didn't want this to be a prequel, I think it has to be notable that you've never heard of this guy before, that none of the characters mention him in the first game, and that he's not around or plays any role and stuff. So you have to wonder if they've got some twist or secret or something.
I did see that people in the comments managed to pick out younger versions of characters from the first game.
Marston and a bunch of the Dutch and all those guys from the gang are there.
Yeah.
Like you see Jack Marston as a toddler in this trailer. So like there has to be something to the fact that this guy his name has never come up before.
Yeah. I feel like if there's one thing I do think that Rockstar can handle, it's the story of this game and how it relates to the first game.
Maybe it comes to pass that he is the reason the whole thing unraveled or something like that. I hope they find an interesting angle on it, because like generally knowing how the story ends already.
Is this the first Rockstar game that's
like a direct prequel? I think so. Like GTAs have all been separate. Except for DLCs.
The timeline changes leads to some fun moments here and there where you've got like GTA 3 protagonists showing up in somewhere else.
Right,
and,
sure. But those are more like cameos, really.
Right.
Like this is straight up the stuff that happened before
same
the last
world.
game. Yeah, same characters. Yeah, I don't know. I hope they pull it off.
It looks great.
Looks really nice for sure.
Yeah.
We talk about the IGN Dead Cells review plagiarism kerfuffle last week. Kind of pretty early on. I think that stuff had just broken that morning.
Yeah.
Or maybe the night before when we started talking about it.
IGN had maybe taken the review down, but they were still in an investigation phase. Yeah. Later on that day, last Tuesday, they would terminate
they let him go
writer of the review.
That same day. He went radio silent for a few days.
Right.
And then he posted a video that was effectively his response to the whole controversy on YouTube, I think Friday afternoon?
Yeah.
Which I haven't seen because he then quickly took it down.
I ended up catching it after UPF.
I watched it.
And it was not an apology, really.
No.
It was...
he starts out by saying, I want to take full responsibility of what happened.
Yeah. That's something when you're like the head of a team or something like that. It's like one of my employees screwed up, but you know what? I lead this team. I take full responsibility for the action. This was not an accident, as he called it. He said it was purely coincidental or whatever.
The only thing I think I have to say about this... in light of that, after that video, is there's the point where, as he's trying to say that this was an accident or something, he kind of has some half words or half formed thoughts about like, oh, well, this is, it's in terms of research and all this other stuff. And, kind of all reviewers do this.
No,
they fucking don't.
No, they do not.
No, they motherfucking don't.
Yeah, like what?
That's not how this works. And if I had someone working for me in a reviews capacity that was like, oh yeah, I read everyone else's stuff on a game and then write my take, they'd be like, you're done.
Yeah.
Like, or you need to stop doing that, or you need to never write a review again, because like the whole point of the review is here's your take on the game, not here's your take on someone else's research on the game.
Like I wouldn't read other reviews because I was afraid that like subconsciously some of their views would come out like without me even realizing it. Like I might start parroting somebody else. You know what I mean? Like that power of suggestion is there.
I've had, over the years, you occasionally will have like limited discussions with someone else who is reviewing a game, almost inadvertently. And in the here where we've got two publications kind of working side by side, there's been cases where it's like, oh, what'd you think of that thing? Like, oh, I think it's terrible. I'm like, oh, our guy's giving it an 8 or whatever the Crew 2 got on GameSpot. And like situations like that where it'll kind of come up inadvertently, but you're never seeking that out.
I will say the one case where that's useful is typically when you get games in for review. There's next to no documentation. There's certainly no like walkthroughs or facts or breakdowns or any of that stuff out there. So like there have been cases like with The Witness where
we get stuck and
not even just get stuck, but like you find something amazing and inscrutable and you like run over there because you're just excited about it. Like, did you find this thing? Like
literally only one other person you can talk to because of this thing you're excited about. Yeah.
So I talked to Mike Mahardy a ton about The Witness because every time you found one of those crazy things, you were like, dude, what does this mean? Like this is crazy.
Yeah. But
that's kind of the only context I can think of where that's really appropriate.
Yeah, and yeah, so the idea that you're like comparing notes with other people that have, especially a game like Dead Cells that has been in early access forever, all this other stuff. It's like
the things you research are like facts and like documented things. You can go and like read about the studio and like go read about their progress and other types of video games and stuff that is not editorialized.
Yeah, or like if it's a sequel or something and you're like, oh, could you double jump in the previous game? I guess I need to look that up.
Yeah.
And, you could either go play the game or go read something about it to determine one way or the other. And so there are very limited cases like that, but never deep research on this game I'm writing a review of. That is just not how it goes.
Yeah.
So that was the part for me where I was just like, man, that is, if people think that's how reviewing games works, it is not. And if that is how you're out there reviewing games, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like the hey, here's my take on a thing is the easy part. Like that's the kind of ridiculous part about the whole thing is like, why would you? That's the thing you're supposed to be doing is forming an opinion on the thing. Why would you outsource that bit of it?
Yeah.
Like if you were specifically like trying to cut time and save time, that's not even the corner to cut.
Yeah.
Like it's just
it's the core of the job. I mean,
it's
like
weird.
you're not doing
weird.
the job
right.
if you're not doing that. Like,
so that was the part for me where I was just like, man, fuck that,
Yeah.
because that is not how games are reviewed.
Yeah.
And if that's how people are out there reviewing games and thinking that's how you do it, don't.
So I didn't see the video, but I've got there's a write up on Kotaku here that quotes from it extensively, so I can more or less see what he said. It looks like he apologized to the other people at IGN.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
And kind of
hang
says,
on.
and
I just want to apologize to everybody at IGN for all of the undeserved criticism and doubt that. Well, okay, I guess he's talking about criticism toward other employees.
There's a chunk in there kind of saying like that IGN should not have been dragged into this and
which
all
is true.
This sort of
That's
stuff.
For sure.
Yeah.
I kind of thought he was talking about himself. Apparently, look, this says he did not apologize to Boomstick Gaming, the channel that he.
It's like they are mentioned in a way of like, oh, hey, keep doing. I don't remember the exact verbiage.
Props to IGN, because I saw a lot of people saying like, oh, you guys need to give. It's a weird sentiment, but it's like a lot of people saying, oh, you need to give Boomstick all the ad revenue that you made, which is not really how the internet works in the internet business. But to their credit, they said like, we are working with that channel to make it right. Like it seems like IGN is taking the proper steps as a company on this issue, which is good. It's not always the case.
So he also kind of issued a challenge to Kotaku, because Jason Schreier really took up this issue and ran with it. He said, you can keep looking, Kotaku, and please let me know if you find anything.
There have been some things.
I don't know why he was inviting further investigation, because like the examples that keep coming out of this are more and more damning.
New ones as of this.
It's not even like it's not even like Kotaku doing a ton of digging. It sounds like that just other people are transcribing some of his other videos from before he was at IGN and like pumping those transcripts into Google and coming back with forum posts and all kinds of stuff.
Wikipedia pages.
You're just like
the one that got me was I saw a video this morning about the HD Rumble on the Switch. And it is word for word, like, because people were looking at these text comparisons and saying like, oh, there's a bunch of phrases changed, like, I don't know, but this thing is word for word an entire post from NeoGAF, verbatim, top to bottom.
And it's not only that, but it starts with him saying, I did a little bit of research, and then immediately goes into the.
And then he like mispronounced one of the words in the forum post he was reading, which just made me think he didn't even try to understand.
Does this guy even play games?
I don't
like
what
the cherry on top of it is this, of course, because we live in modern times, that apology video is monetized. And
if you have a channel that's monetized and upload a video, it's monetized by default. So
it's
not.
But you maybe want to take extra precautions if you're trying to save face, which I guess he wasn't even doing because he wasn't even apologizing.
Yeah,
so.
like the video was so terrible.
It was so like YouTube edited to like.
I had nothing else to pull from, I guess. So
I don't know.
Yeah, but to double down
while it's down.
Knowing that all this other evidence is out there.
And, there's stuff in there where he said, like, hey, my family has got, like, people shouldn't be out there fucking harassing this dude in a personal way
the guy has already torpedoed his own career. Like, just let him be. Like, there's nothing to be gained by. exacting vengeance on his family.
There's no point to that. If anything, it's just like now the situation is just like, well, if you're IGN, are you pulling everything that guy ever generated for the site?
That is absolutely the big question to me.
And what do they do from here? Because now you
you have to put people on scrutinizing all his work and trying to figure out if.
At some point, is it worth going through that, or do you just assume the worst and say we're pulling all of it because it's the only way?
I meant as opposed to doing nothing. Like you can't just leave all his other stuff up and not investigate it. Right?
If you do, it comes up again and again, and at some point you're addressing this thing for a longer period of time than it's worth doing. Like at some point you're like, hey, we are yanking all this stuff down, or putting an editor's note next to it saying, at bare minimum, saying like, hey, fucking, here's the situation with this stuff. We hope it's his original work. But at some point, is his original work, does that have any value? If so much of his work keeps coming back from other sources, what is his opinion worth in this case? What are his actual thoughts on games? Can you trust them? Do they, all this other stuff gets called into.
In that case, it is probably safer.
It really sucks for IGN, and there's down. No, I've seen some people be like, "Oh, IGN should have done it." But it's like, no, what are you gonna,
it's not.
You're the idea is that you're trusting these people because you're hiring them and all this other stuff, and this person betrayed his employer's trust in a very grand fashion. I don't know that you evolve a policy beyond this, other than maybe your hiring policy of making sure that someone's stuff is their own. But once you bring them in, if you've vetted them to the point where you've hired them, presumably you trust them enough to where you're not running all their work through some kind of search engine. Turnitin.com, yeah.
In this day and age, that's logistically impossible anyway. There are way too many small-time YouTube channels out there that aren't searchable through text, and you just could not possibly.
Yeah, I don't know how you would prevent something like this from happening other than being better at vetting up front.
Yeah.
And maybe they could have caught some of this stuff before they brought this guy on. I don't know. That's I feel bad for the people at IGN getting dragged into this by this guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's rough.
Yeah. Let's see. Ninja. Perhaps you've heard of him. Throw smoke bombs.
Oh,
okay, yeah.
Drake's friend.
Throwing stars.
I'm part of the Ninja 5-0.
Yeah. Man. I haven't thought about Ninja 5.0 in a long time.
Good grappling hook.
He generated some controversy through, I believe it was an interview he gave. I don't know. It's popped up in so many news stories at this point that I actually didn't work all the way back to.
I think it was a Polygon interview
where the original quote appeared. But he has raised some controversy by vowing that he does not play with women on his stream at all. Period. By policy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His reasoning being Twitch chat is awful, and anytime you put a woman on it, the chat becomes unbearable. He gave some other reasons. His wife is his business manager.
I guess a streamer in her own right.
I'm not sure.
I believe is what I read.
But I don't know. I'm conflicted about that because on one hand, yes, he's right. Twitch chat is a terrible thing. It is
shipping real people is a terrible thing.
Yes. It is it's just a chat, but it's also where memes are born, and those go to Reddit, and they go to Twitter, and they go to everywhere, and all of a sudden
it's not just contemporaneous chat. It spirals out in lasting ways for sure.
Yep. It sucks.
It does suck. He is unfortunately, whether he likes it or not, in a position though where he can be a force of change for that.
Yeah.
He could, if anyone's gonna do it, somebody's got to do it. And if anyone's going to do it, and by it I mean, push
the culture
forward. Forward. It's going to be, the most successful streamers, the ones who have the biggest audience, the ones who can have influence over their fans.
He's kind of the de facto face of this service at this point,
it seems like it's one thing to say Twitch chat is terrible. It can be terrible to women on stream, but it seems like the reasoning out of him is more like self-preservation in terms of just like I don't want
that's where it kind
I
of
don't want rumors, or I don't want people saying this, like my relationship and like.
When I first came across this,
is your relationship so rocky that like,
you don't know what his relationship is like. We don't know how his wife is comfortable with him doing certain things. It's tough to say. The thing that surprised me the most is out of this story and the discourse around it, there's really no focus on Twitch itself as a platform, and especially like their moderation tools.
I saw someone who works in Twitch's like partners department tweeting about like, oh man, a whole lot of people talk about like it's his decision. And it's just like, okay, is that like the official position of Twitch? Because like, what the fuck?
Because I believe there's
like the problem is that Twitch is bad.
Yes.
Like, what is Twitch going to do to improve this if possible? And
I believe out of anyone involved in the conversation, Twitch is the most accountable for the way that the current state of things on Twitch are.
Like maybe the messaging is not getting out there and being like, yeah, our platform is terrible. What do you want us to do about it? Like that's probably not the way to go. I saw those tweets and those were not.
Yeah, like real dumb.
And like I don't know what the answer is. I don't know how to make Twitch good. Twitch chat. Twitch as a service seems fine. It's the culture around Twitch. Just like
some people have good Twitch chats. It's if you have the moderation, and you would think someone like a ninja would have people in place to manage chat and do that sort of stuff in a way that could kind of curtail problems like that. But it's
I don't know. You even see it on stuff like the Overwatch finals or TI and stuff. No, it's awful. Like you get very little value add from that chat, but it's such an integral part for so many people. Like the people who are all about Twitch chat are all about Twitch chat.
Yeah,
and
at some point the question becomes like, well, are those the people you want to cater to? If and it's not every single person in Twitch chat is a monster. Obviously that's not how it works, but. It's a complicated issue that I think he is solving in a very backwards way.
Yeah.
Yes.
In a really
and a pretty self-interested way.
Yeah, like in a way that comes across like pretty shitty.
The thing that at first initially made me somewhat sympathetic to this situation is that The Verge ran a story last week before all this stuff blew up about female streamers. Did you guys see that?
I did not.
Like effectively being forced by these like rabid voyeuristic fan bases to disclose their relationship status.
Oh yeah, yep. Like there's some good stuff I saw on Twitter of people, a streamer that
like it's a pretty good story and like pretty eye opening that like a lot of people want nothing to do with the channel of a person who is in a healthy relationship. Like if they're not single and you can't preserve some fantasy.
Right,
like they get angry
or
and
the
storm
people
off,
or the people, so
or
the
start
people
digging
that
into,
find out that this person's in a relationship that they haven't disclosed, and then say like
that was the big one.
Kept this from me. I thought we were. It's like
it was just horrifying to read some of that stuff. Yes, that one in particular.
Is really
they just chose not to talk about it in public, but you decided it was your business to find out.
Yeah, like hey, people have a private life.
That stuff is repugnant. So
people choose what they disclose on streams and in the public eye, and they do that for a reason. Not everyone in someone's family signed up to be a part of that fucking circus. Yeah. The idea that like you as a viewer are somehow owed that is fucking crazy.
Yeah. And so having read that, I initially saw this stuff with Ninja and thought like, oh, okay. But again, like kind of like you said, I thought at first that he was doing it out of respect for his guests. Like the people he would bring on with him, but then once you dig in and realize it's basically just about him and his marriage, then it's like, I don't know, man. Like when you're pulling down $500,000 a month, like there is a certain amount of responsibility. Also, as a sort of community leader.
Also, when it comes to like him and his guests and that sort of thing, like that's something that is up to the guest if they want to, to have that blanket policy to say like, oh, I'm not even going to give half these people an opportunity to be on this.
Absolutely.
And that's a good point.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Like it's up to them to say no if they're like, oh, I don't actually want to be part of this. You're cool, but your shit is too wild. I don't want to get on it and have to put up with the aftermath.
Yeah.
Is a totally acceptable stance. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's silly, and I think a lot of it, a lot of it I think you point back to just, you could keep it at Twitch, but YouTube has its own problems. Like, platforms have issues, moderation issues. Twitter is a nightmare in a lot of major ways. It's it's all over the place.
Maybe a little weird that I'm kind of like finding myself thinking a lot about this. Is like you had Kim.com on your stream at one point.
Did he?
Yeah, he was there in that Drake explosion.
Oh man,
he was one of the guests for a little bit.
Yeah,
it's like you really have that guy who is like currently underwaiting trial,
right?
And and no ladies.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
It's maybe a little weird there, but
sure.
Again, like we don't know what his personal life is like. We do not know what his relationship is like. It's hard. His response was not as nuanced as it could have been, and he is not showing any signs of progress.
Yeah.
I think are the key issues.
Yeah.
I don't think it's mutually exclusive to be disappointed in the savage state of being a public figure in that kind of environment, and also being disappointed in him for not taking more of a kind of leadership position and approaching this more equitably. Yeah, it's unfortunate all around. Speaking of unfortunate, Ben, what's up with Smash Brothers?
No, I don't know. What is up with Smash Brothers?
They had a direct last week.
Oh, yeah. Wait, why is this unfortunate? Say it.
No.
Because we have to talk about Smash Brothers.
Yo, remember King K. Rool?
It's fine.
King K. Rool's back and better than ever.
Which one is he?
He's the one that's a pirate, but also a king. I don't know. I really liked these trailers. Did anyone else see the trailers?
They killed Luigi.
No, they say he's fine.
He's dead.
I saw his soul leave his body.
Yeah.
I saw Death, Dracula's best friend, come in there and steal his soul from his body with his Reaper's scythe. I thought those trailers were fun. I think they've been getting a lot better with their character reveal stuff. They started doing it in 4 a little bit. And yeah, they have Simon Belmont coming, which was a huge surprise. That kind of came out of nowhere.
That seems like
it makes a lot of sense.
It almost seems obvious. I almost was like, wait, you didn't have him before? What? Except that Konami doesn't make games anymore, so
yeah. And then Richter as a Echo Fighter.
So Echo Fighters are subtly different, but largely the same gameplay-wise?
Yeah. It's like your pit and your dark pit.
Okay. But do they have different moves, or is it purely a skin?
They have slightly different properties from what I understand.
Okay. Is this a new thing? The whole idea of an Echo Fighter? Is that new to this game?
So they're calling them Echo Fighters is new, and the selection process isn't new. It seems like you just hover over the character and it swaps. But the idea was in 4 with Lucina and Marth were technically Echo Fighters by today's standards. Similar characters with a slight difference.
Okay.
I don't know. King K. Rool looks cool. He does the thing from Donkey Kong Country where he throws his crown and it comes back. He's got a big cannon. I don't know. He does the shit that I want him to do. That reveal trailer was good. Donkey Kong's eyes pop through the window, shatter a glass.
Yep. That was
my favorite 800 songs that there will be remixed songs.
800 songs.
That's always my favorite part.
28 hours of music.
I will buy the game for that alone. That's a huge amount of nostalgia there, and it's got the the twist of it being remixed and shit. And you can play all that shit on the fly. Oh yeah, I got excited for Smash I haven't been, and I don't know how long. And
did you see that
it's
people
feel good direct?
I should look up the name. Well, anyway, this morning I saw someone had done some work on the blurred out menu item, and determined that it said spirits.
So a lot of people are kind of under the assumption that is a new subspace emissary mode, which would make sense because now they've got so many fucking characters to pull from.
Right.
That creating a story with all
Luigi's dead and now a spirit. So
yeah.
Does that point to that, or
come back to life?
That's the start of the game. Is Luigi dies and Mario is, for once, on a quest for his brother rather than chasing around a princess.
Luigi is missing.
Luigi is gone but not forgotten.
Yeah,
gone but not missed.
Press F on your Switch controller.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm still excited for that game.
It seems fine. I'm happy.
Thanks.
I'm happy for the people.
Thank you. Yeah. It does seem fun.
I wish I liked playing the game more.
Yeah. It is such a cool package.
And
then
I'd certainly get behind a lot of those characters.
Totally. It looks cool. Damn it.
I feel like that's the feeling I've had for the last 2 Smash Brothers games.
Seriously.
Man, this looks cool. Damn, I don't like playing it. I wish I did, but God.
Last week it was just last week we were talking about how Discord seems to maybe have an opportunity with all these games getting off Steam, all these extra launchers now being required.
Yeah.
Less than a week later, they announced that they are in fact launching their own game store.
They're launching a launcher.
That's right.
Yeah.
The
Gotta
launcher
launch
is
off.
Well, they'll be selling games on Discord. That's the big thing.
Yeah.
Although,
which I would assume would also act as the launcher. But
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
In fact, I guess they're also adding a feature that will supposedly launch games from any service.
That's
from
already
Discord.
there. That's already in there. They
Oh,
have
for everything,
If you go
though?
on the games tab, it'll pull on stuff from Steam and
Even
stuff
from something like a Bethesda or like one of the lesser
like Thug Pro
launchers.
shows up on my launcher, like
Okay.
or like Mania Planet, which I have
I
installed
see
separately
a
out of
friend
Steam.
of mine playing Dolphin a lot because he's playing Melee online.
Yeah, like that stuff will show up in the launcher.
Is that the universal library feature? That's what they're calling it
Yeah,
here.
probably, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah. But like, that their whole thing is they identify game executables
Right.
and then to show
Yeah.
them in your stuff.
Well, yeah, and this says it'll handle launching all of the launchers that are required.
They've got an API also for software developers to plug into for like rich presence and
Yeah,
stuff. So like
that's-
Fortnite will do it. Dead
that's cool.
Cells. If you hover over someone that's playing Dead Cells, it'll show you what their levels are for
Oh, wow.
brutality and tactics and stuff.
That's
Dota, they have some of that. Like
Some emulators will show the game you're emulating instead of just the name or along with the emulator you're running.
Of course, it makes sense because now it's like you look at there and you see, 3 friends of yours are playing Counter-Strike Go. Wouldn't it be convenient if you could just click on this button and start playing with them?
Yeah, it would be.
It would. They described their game store as having a, quote, cozy neighborhood bookshop vibe.
So there's gonna be like a cat in there.
Yeah,
Oh, I hope so.
that
Big-
seems like something.
That'd be
big-
cool. A
big old
little
fat
digital
tabby.
cat.
Their patch notes are the equivalent of a digital cat, I
Oh,
would say,
no.
but like
God,
in a
you're right.
bad way.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Their loading screen memes.
1 out of 10.
They-
Kill
are
the
good.
store and instead put in a toggle to turn all that off.
They lay it on a little thick.
$9.99.
What
Yeah.
if Nitro had that option?
That'd be great.
Remove
I
all
would-
of the.
As a current Nitro subscriber, I would.
What does Nitro get you right now?
It's like animated emojis and like an animated avatar.
Fuck yeah!
Cross-server emojis.
Okay. Actually, that one's not bad because I look at that emoji list and I'm like, man, I'm part of some random.
So you
Slack
could just
or
create your
Discord
own server,
channels.
put 50 emojis on it, and then force those onto your other
Whoa.
servers at your whim,
Wow.
which is how I use it for pictures of Mr. Do.
It looks like Nitro is going to follow, PlayStation Plus and Xbox Live games with gold and so forth, and start getting you games.
Yeah.
They're going to start giving you some free games every month.
I feel like this talk about it having a cozy, like curatorial vibe is like secret code for we're launching it small.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we haven't
Yeah.
done business deals with all the people yet. But once we get this off the ground, what are they going to say no to?
The list of games I'm trying to. I had-
Amazon was once a cozy little book like vibe selling
true.
website.
Right.
I had a list of the games and I lost it. It wasn't a ton.
No,
like they've got.
and it's like they're testing it with some number of Canadian
Yeah.
Discord users out of the gate.
I think it looks like THQ, and also I can't believe we're just using the name THQ now.
Yeah.
It looks like THQ and Deep Silver are probably the biggest publishers on board right now.
Are those the same company now?
Yeah,
Didn't
I guess so.
THQ Nordic buy
Yeah.
Deep Silver, vice versa, or whatever
Yeah.
the fuck it was?
Yeah. And then they're going to start like co-funding games to be temporarily exclusive on the service.
That's interesting.
It's a first on Discord program. The exclusivity window will usually last 90 days, is what they say. So
Makes sense.
these will not be fully exclusive games, at least not for now. But
It's
cool if it's becoming a big service. It's cool for them to help get some extra games to market.
They've got the install base.
Yeah.
Like that thing's been growing like crazy. It seems like.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I feel like it's in a position where like if you're Valve, you're not necessarily like, oh shit, Discord. But if you're if you're a GOG, you're probably at least like, okay, here we go.
Yeah, like they stealth built a user base with a feature that not many people were providing well.
Yeah.
And now that they've got that user base, they're going to start doing something that a bunch of people are doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, like with Steam launching its new chat features, like those two services are functionally kind of the same now.
The Steam chat stuff is I think can provide a similar thing, but not in the same way. Like I tried looking at it in a couple different ways, and I would never use Steam chat the same way I use Discord.
Yeah.
No.
They could get it there certainly, but like within that rebuild they did not did not match Discord, let alone surpass it. So it's better than it was though,
for sure,
which is something. Hell, just adding invisible to the options as something you can choose by default was an improvement.
Yeah. So in light of Nintendo recently getting litigious with some ROM sites, one of the biggest ROM sites, Emu Paradise, has voluntarily pulled all of its ROMs down.
Yeah.
That site has been around forever.
Yeah.
Well, and forever, I mean since 2000, but
I remember
that is a long time.
I remember going to Emu Paradise in middle school.
Yeah.
When I was first discovered what a ROM was.
Totally. And they have tons of other stuff besides ROMs. They have like music and all kinds of other peripheral game, like retro game related stuff. But I guess I had never gotten ROMs from there before, but I assume that was the main thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably. It was the type of site you were Googling a name of a thing and it came up and you're like, okay, I can get it here.
Yeah.
Unless I click through and it makes me download a downloader first, which is probably full of malware, which, some of these other sites that did SEO well for like ROM downloads wanted you to jump through some pretty ugly looking hoops.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember I was sitting there on my iMac with my 56K AOL dial-up.
Hell yeah.
Clicking through stuff. My mom walked up. She said, "What are you doing?" I was like, "Oh, I found out this cool website. I can download all these Nintendo games for free." And I clicked through, and just a huge old porno pop up.
Hell yeah!
Right there, like full screen.
See, there's Mario getting it where he lives.
And then I wasn't allowed on the computer for a little while.
Yeah. I guess that's how it goes. It's there's been a lot of outcry, more than I thought. A lot of outcry from the game preservation end of things about these sites being taken down. Which I look at it as like it's the sites they're shutting down, or the sites or Emu Paradise shutting down voluntarily, I guess is kind of a different thing. But like the sites that Nintendo went after, and also Emu Paradise, I think it also fits into this category. Make it very casual to acquire this stuff in a way that, like, is probably the thing you want to stop as a rights holder, as an IP holder, because that's like the casual piracy is the one where if you stave it off enough, then more people are likely to buy your thing because they don't know about it, or it's less of a hassle or something like that. But like a lot of this stuff, and I think a lot of this stuff is all over the place still, and it's you think about the stuff that's being traded back and forth on the internet these days, full Blu-ray rips of movies and gigs and gigs and gigs of content, movies and music and all this other stuff that's traveling around. Like all this stuff will just travel around in those circles as they have been for a very long time.
Yeah.
So I guess I don't necessarily look at it and get too concerned about like, oh, this stuff's going to be hard to find. It'll just be slightly harder to find. But if you're dedicated to it, it seems like it'll all still be out there.
Yeah, it'll still exist.
In the game preservation side of things, I look at it and go like, like maybe there's a bit of a chilling effect. Then maybe it makes people that want to do research have to dig a little deeper, or it's a little bit harder. But if that's a line you're willing to cross to get a hold of that content, they're never going to shut it all the way down. Yeah. They can't. That's just how unless you re-engineer the entirety of the internet to be better at, protecting corporations, which, hey, give it 6 months.
I mean,
maybe we'll be there too. Fuck.
A lot of the outcry seems to be because, like, Nintendo in this case, or whatever company, like, they're being criticized for kind of protecting their IP in a draconian way, but then not providing that legit alternative.
Exactly.
Like, it's like, okay, if you also were going to launch a NES game streaming service where you could pay $5 a month to play all of this stuff, then fine. But you're not. Like, you're not making it available, and you're taking it away and not making it available yourself.
Logistically, they will never be able to offer the entirety of the NES library.
Yeah.
There are too many licensed games, too many games that belong to defunct companies that you wouldn't be able to really realistically track down.
But they're not doing anything.
No,
right now.
and honestly, and on the stuff that Nintendo sent over was take down our games, not necessarily all this third-party stuff. And there have definitely been ROM sites in the past that have pulled all of first-party Nintendo stuff offline and left everything else up, because those were the only things Nintendo was coming after. So, it's a mess. because no one's ever going to sell you a copy of Home Alone for the SNES. No one is ever going to do that. No one's ever going to do the work to make that a reality, because it will never be worth the money to do that work. To satisfy the rights holders, whoever they may be these days. And so like that's the element of preservation that I look at and go like, yeah, that really sucks. But also that's the element of preservation where you look at and go like, it's really hard to like have an ethical problem with someone downloading this licensed game that can never be sold again. And go like, well, whatever. People should still be able to check that stuff out. If anything, it just underscores issues with copyright law and IP to begin with.
And how Mario would be public domain by now if the original laws of copyright were enacted.
The original, if the laws that Disney doesn't like get rewritten every 10 years or whatever, if that never happened, then yes. But like,
I saw somebody, I didn't check their math, but I saw on a forum the other day somebody saying that after this Fox merger goes through, that Disney is going to control something like 60 or 70% of the box office. Just in terms of ownership of movie IP and stuff.
Fuck yeah. I get to see the X-Men fight NYPD Blue.
Yeah, it's totally worth having one.
Oh, if they exploited it that way, then
corporation putting out everything. I saw a lot of comparisons with this stuff going down to like the early film industry not caring to preserve negatives and entire films just being lost.
Right. And that's the sort of stuff that like the stuff that was released in the 80s, or I guess I shouldn't say that. The NES by and large has been extremely well documented.
Yeah. And like games have the advantage of being digital and being easily copyable.
Yeah.
Where, like a film negative can just like chemically break down.
Right. The thing you run into a lot, or the thing that I've seen a lot of these days, and I don't want to like say one is more important than the other, because obviously there are still like prototypes of NES games that will still surface in the future.
Yeah.
The stuff is worth documenting and worth seeing for yourself. And I think it's cool that people will be able to see those games and be able to play those games. And it's awesome. But for me and the stuff that I find a lot more interesting is stuff like the Apple II, Commodore 64, like some of these computers where just like the discs and cassette tapes in some cases, just haven't been preserved well. There are still plenty of games that have been lost to time from that era of home computer. And you're starting to see more and more people come up with, because a lot of the stuff that's out there is stuff from pirates. A lot of the Apple II images out there floating around for use in emulators, a lot of them are full of crack screens and trainers, and you're never quite sure if you're getting the genuine article or if like, they modified the code in some way that made it harder or easier or fucked up a thing along the way.
I mean, people were giving Nintendo shit for the NES Classic. Was that the one? Nintendo has put out classic games using ROMs they downloaded that have pirate headers.
Yes, I don't know. I don't think that was the classic, but
maybe it was something else.
It was like an eShop. It was like the Wii version of Super Mario Brothers.
Yeah, I think
this was something that there's a talk that Frank Cifaldi gave at GDC about game preservation long before he started the Video Game History Foundation and stuff. But that touches on Nintendo literally has iNES headers on the fucking game they put out on the eShop.
Did they ever address that?
I don't think so. Yeah. They may have like removed it or something in a patch or whatever. I don't actually know.
Like how do you a company that big with that many resources, like how do you not dump your own game?
Because that stuff gets lost to fucking time. Like companies aren't great at keeping archives of that stuff.
Can't you just dump a retail card at that point?
Yes,
though?
Absolutely.
Like for something like something as ubiquitous as Mario.
You could, but what if you clicked a button and got it? And then moved on with your, you could. That's the corner someone at Nintendo must have cut.
Yeah, you could see some low-level employee making that decision and then probably getting fired over it or something. Like I doubt.
By the time that was discovered, tracking down who did that work.
What I mean was I'm sure that was not official Nintendo company policy to be like, just go download them from anywhere.
No, probably not. If asked, I'm sure someone would be like, "What? No, what?"
Yeah.
No, what do you mean we don't have that stuff?
Yeah. Still weird that they did it though.
But I go back to the stories I heard from someone at Capcom back in the day when they wanted to do a remaster of a game. Like literally, the game's source code only existed as a stack of printouts.
Yeah.
That they had to OCR back in to do.
I know I've mentioned that 1UP article before. I don't know if it's even still available about like the '90s JRPG development scene and how Square would not back up any of their source code.
No, of course not.
Like they literally deleted it all at the end of the project because they were just like, why would we ever need this again?
Exactly.
Like the game is done.
Yeah.
A lot of that stuff is just flushed down the drain.
Yeah, or just like, I saw someone on Twitter today. I guess I'd never really ran this down, but kind of implying that like at some point Konami just lost all of the Silent Hill stuff.
Yeah.
Like companies are terrible at maintaining their own libraries and version control and all this other stuff. I mean, they're probably better at it now. But back then, no, that stuff is just fucking gone.
I remember talking to a relatively prominent developer who worked on a lot of like old school PC games and stuff in like the 80s and 90s, talking about, and I don't remember a lot of the specifics, but about one project they were on afterwards, like they were forbidden from backing it up or something like that, but they might have put it on DAT tapes. They might have printed it out. It was some...
Yeah, they got it off the premises.
But no, because they did it and they stashed it in the ceiling panels of the office that they were in at the time, and then later moved out of that office.
Yeah.
And talked about, like, always wanted to go back to that office park someday and see if those backups of that game we made are still in the ceiling.
It's another documentary. Put it on Netflix.
Yep.
Yeah. So, it's... whatever. I find that stuff incredibly fascinating. I always have. So, but anyway, the thing that you have happening now is, like I was saying about the Apple II games and a lot of stuff only being available with a ton of crack screens and cracked by Mr. Crackman.
Yeah.
And all the awesome, like that stuff's worth preserving in its own weird way. But now you're starting to see more of a swing towards like, hey, let's actually try to get a hold of, let's bust open fresh copies of these games if we can find them, or find open copies of the original discs and back those up, because the tech has come a long way where maybe you don't need to crack that stuff to duplicate it properly. Or in some cases, there's a person goes by the name of 4AM that has built something that is an automated cracker of Apple II games. So you put the original disc in and it will look at it, determine the protection scheme, get around it in the lightest touch way possible. Or the lightest touch way that they know how. Maybe there's a lighter touch way that someone will invent later. And then put it back, and then is releasing those as like these 4 a.m. cracks of these games that don't add a bunch of screens and are trying to be true to it. You have a game like Castle Wolfenstein, the original, computer Castle Wolfenstein, not Wolf 3D. That game, you couldn't write protect the disc because it would generate a new castle every time every time you beat the game, or if you shot a chest full of grenades, it would blow up the whole castle, and on your next game, it would have to generate a new castle. If you just got captured or died, you could restart in that same castle, and all the guards would be dead and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
But if you accidentally blew up the fucking castle, or you opted to generate a new castle, which you can do, it would write a new castle. But it wrote it to the game disc. So what's an original Castle Wolfenstein disc look like?
Sure.
Because all the versions that got dumped were played.
Right.
And so they already have castles and castles and castles that have been generated and wiped and generated and wiped.
So, like, who knows what the default starting castle looks like?
Yeah.
Huh.
So it's little shit like that.
Yeah.
High score tables. You download plenty of games, like computer games from that era, that will have high scores on them already because that's just how it went.
Yeah.
And I think it's like the push to try to get as original as possible with that stuff, I think is really cool.
Yeah. For sure.
And yeah, there are a lot of people out there just doing it. Just out there dumping as accurate, dumping CD-ROM and DVD-based games in the most accurate way they know how, and just maintaining a database of this is the best version of this is the best dump of this.
Yeah.
If you have something that matches this dump, which they don't provide because they're not a ROM site, they're just documenting. Then you can say, I've got them all because I matched it to this DAT and did all this stuff, and I know they're not fucked up and weird and bad versions and all this other stuff. And, because a lot of bad versions got generated over the years by shitty copier hardware and, overdumps and bad dumps. And the good tools ain't the gold standard anymore.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's getting down a whole... we could talk about this for another fucking 3 hours, and I would be right there for you. But
I would totally watch like a reality TV or documentary kind of series of people trying to hunt this stuff down and make it work.
Yeah.
But it's probably a pretty niche audience for something like that. The last stuff I've got is the stuff we kind of already touched on about Blizzard said in a video that multiple Diablo projects are on the way. Kotaku says they are confident that one of those is Diablo 3 Switch. And then
they didn't announce that, did they?
No.
So.
And I guess Eurogamer has also reported in the past on rumors about that project being...
Well, there was, someone posted the picture of a nightlight, like to the official Blizzard account or Diablo Nightlight or whatever the fuck it was.
It seems like kind of a stretch.
Like, here's a light switch and a Diablo themed thing, and people put that together. And then they were like, no, it was just just meant to drive social. It's like, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
Or maybe not.
Yeah,
who knows?
Yeah. That'd be a cool thing to have on Switch.
They should put that on Switch.
Yeah.
They will put that on Switch.
Yeah.
I think. That's my guess.
Who knows what the other stuff could be. And then, Torchlight Frontiers, which we kind of talked about already. So,
I think they should make a Diablo 4.
Yeah.
Not to be weird, but I think they should make another Diablo.
Sure.
I would like that.
I don't know what it would be.
I don't have a good
more
answer.
Diablo 3. Sure.
I played a fuckload of Diablo 3.
Totally, but I don't know.
There have been a lot of advancements.
Yeah, there are a lot
Path of Exile and
I just never got into Path of Exile ever.
There's another one like that.
I think like Grim Dawn is one.
Yeah. I remember
Titan Quest. Like there's been a lot
Titan
of
Quest was the one I was trying to think of. That's the one Dave's really into, right? With like the dual classes stuff.
We're good.
Sorry. I don't know. I would like it to be more than just, Diablo 3, 2.
Yeah.
I feel like that's I think Diablo 3 could have been this, but I think that's a game that, like the stuff we're talking about with what this new Torchlight is, I think something that is like, here's more of a social hub with other players and stuff like that.
Okay,
I think could be it is a potential path for that to go down.
That I would be way.
That I was kind of surprised that Diablo 3 didn't do more of
I guess
or any of.
Structurally, Diablo 3 is very much kind of just Diablo 2.
Like I rarely, it was only the console versions of that I ever played with other humans, because I would just randomly join other people's games and just fight alongside them for a while and quit, or let's join this and see if this person has enough to go in a rift or enough cubes or whatever the fuck you need to open a rift.
Yeah, if they made it more multiplayer and social, that could be cool.
I guess my official stance is fuck a Diablo 4, give me another Lost Vikings.
That'd be good too. You could do a really good mobile game,
sure,
with like the Lost Vikings type stuff.
Totally. I miss those guys.
Yeah.
I'm kind of surprised Blizzard isn't more into mobile besides Hearthstone.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe let's do a proper reboot of Rock and Roll Racing.
Yeah. Sure.
Olaf was in that too.
Dubstep Racing.
I haven't played it yet, but I read about a mobile game called Pocket City, which is apparently just SimCity on a phone.
Yes, I've heard a lot of good things after recommending Polytopia.
I seriously want to go play that because it really just looks like SimCity. And being able to play SimCity on a phone sounds amazing.
I bet if you jumped through enough hoops, you could literally play SimCity on a phone.
Probably.
It's not that many hoops.
No, I guess it's not. I guess there's got to be some Android version of DOSBox out there somewhere.
I think I saw EA just shut down some like SimCity 2000 remake that was happening.
Well, they had included assets from the original game in their GitHub repo, which you don't do.
Dummies.
All right, let's read like 3 emails real fast.
3 emails.
Get out of here.
Keep your fingers crossed.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Woo, it's working again.
Shit. I don't know which
the good
emails
ones
to read.
Take the good ones.
Oh gosh.
Or the exceptionally bad ones.
Yeah.
Nothing in between.
All right.
Exceptionally bad ones is the motif for the after show.
Okay. I've got a handful of emails I could pass your way then. Andrew writes in about the Sonic movie casting.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
They should get a really gritty, nasty actor to play Tails, like Harvey Keitel. That's the email.
Tails is like the little kid stand-in, though, and they're never gonna do that.
Yeah, which is why.
But he's been sitting in the background for far too fucking long. He's sick of Sonic shit.
You find out he's like actually a Baby Herman kind of.
Or what if it was like a Detective Pikachu like voice for Tails?
So you're saying Danny DeVito?
Yeah. Yes, I'm saying, what if it was Danny DeVito?
I really like Ben Schwartz as Sonic the Hedgehog. I'm all for that.
Yeah, I really like Ben Schwartz, and I'm happy to see
the guy from Parks and Rec.
Yeah,
yep. John Ralphio.
Yes. That guy's good. Did he get cast?
He's Sonic the Hedgehog.
That happened?
Yeah. Yes.
Oh wow. Okay, sure.
I believe that was the inspiration for that email.
This isn't live action, is it?
It is live action and CG.
Okay, so he'll just be doing a voice.
Yes.
It's going
to be like a CG Sonic.
It's not the Super Mario Brothers movie where everybody is just in the movie.
No, it'll be like real kids and
Garfield.
Sonic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you think he'll also be in it in a cameo role? As like, just
no, but they'll get that guy from Stranger Things that looks just like him.
Okay. All right.
Evan from Portland, Oregon. With the recent news of Glenn Jacobs, also known as Kane, becoming the new mayor of Knox County, Tennessee, it got me thinking, which wrestler would make the best presidential candidate?
None of them.
Well, maybe I could just stop there.
We already have somebody in the WWE Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
You know
as
what?
our president.
You know what? You're right. Let's just move on. Ben from Wisconsin. I was reading an article about the new Galaxy Note. At the end of the article, it states, for those who pre-order, you can choose 15,000 V-Bucks in Fortnite for Android, which will be arriving on Galaxy flagships first.
Oh, yes!
Will marketing new lines of Android phones with V-Bucks help Android users feel more comfortable having to go through abnormal phone means to play the most popular game of today?
Well, Samsung's going to like pre-install that thing on the phones too, aren't they?
I
don't know, but I would assume
surely, yeah,
because of the marketing deal that's part of it.
We're fucking 6 months away from the V-Buck outweighing the US dollar.
Yeah.
Can they be traded or transferred in any way?
You can buy skins in Fortnite with them.
No, but I mean,
they're more valuable.
Can you transfer V-Bucks to another player?
I don't know. All these people that are saying if I join their PlayStation group and I'll get free V-Bucks seems to imply that you can, but no, I don't think you actually can.
That's a weird promotion. V-Bucks. Then again, everything is weird.
There's been something else like it, and I'm trying to remember what it was. So this led to the weird thing almost right away where the beta, like the first launcher for Android that came out, was restricted to Samsung phones, I believe. And that someone then reissued it with, or no, you know what it was? It's a device check to see if you can run the game on your phone or not. And I think someone hacked that out and reposted the game, like the APK, saying like, here it is with a lot of stuff hacked out. I'm like, all right, well, what else did you hack out?
Okay.
Or in?
Yeah. What else is this doing with?
So it was like day one, and I saw someone offering, you know, whether it's legit or not, I don't even know, but it probably fine. But, you know, like saw someone saying like, hey, download Fortnite from me, and if you want it to work better, or want it to work on your phone. I was like, oh, great.
Fortnite already works on my phone.
Yeah.
Works good enough to get a victory royale. Is that what they call it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Got one of those.
There are things I cannot stand about the iPhone, but being able to just go download a game and not worry about it.
Well, that cuts both ways, because then there are cases where you're like, man, I wish I could download this game and now I can't.
Well, that's what I mean. Like I hate that I'm limited in a lot of ways like that, but sometimes the thoughtless simplicity is nice. Yeah,
there's something to be said for just like dumb easy, I guess, but then as apps get pulled out of the App Store and all that other shit,
there are a ton of
really
downsides.
Does suck.
Yeah. David from Cambridgeshire in the UK.
Hey, did you see that fix PUBG thing they started up?
No.
Like I think it's like fix.pubg.com or fix.player.unknown's.battleground. Like they put out a roadmap to say like
they did this?
Bluehole.
Oh, I thought this was the community.
No, like that's their term for it is we're going to fix it.
Okay.
And they put out a roadmap for like, you know, the fixes they want to make.
It's like hot on the heels of showing up at their esports event saying like, hey, this game isn't quite esports ready.
Yeah, it was like on the heels of that, they launched the Fix PUBG campaign. It was just like, fuck, man.
Okay.
God. That is rough. This is rough.
Yeah.
I don't like to hear that.
Yeah, that's depressing.
I guess on some level it's cool that they are going to continue to pay attention to their highly popular game.
Yes.
But like, of course they were going to.
Yes.
And like, this just seems like a really backwards way.
Calling it fixing just discredits. Like, imagine you were really, really into PUBG and you like really liked PUBG. Maybe you even gave it Game of the Year or something. And it's just like, oh, we're going to fix it now. We're going to make it good now. Like, you've been wasting all your time with this.
It was this weird feeling of just like, I actually, you know, like I
think PUBG's a
I've
good
been
game.
having a really good time with it every time I've dipped back into it.
It like devalues the game almost.
And also the roadmap was vague enough that it felt really weird too. On top of that, it was just like, well, okay, what are you changing? It was like security fixes. And you'd have to look it up to know for sure.
But adding more players.
It was just odd. The whole thing seems like a very odd way to present the game.
Bad phrasing. Immediately leaves a bad taste in my mouth.
Like on the heels.
Why would I start playing now? I'm a casual battle royale fan. Me, Ben Pack. This is true. I like Fortnite. I like PUBG. I like a couple of other things. Am I going to sit down and play Fortnite? Or am I going to sit down and play the game that needs fixing?
It definitely left me with, like, my first reaction to it was like, maybe I should just uninstall it until they are done with this campaign they're running to fix the game.
Like, who's handling messaging over there? Like you had that VP complaining about Fortnite a few months ago, and then they filed that lawsuit.
And then they dropped that
lawsuit. Dropped the lawsuit, and then that esports thing happened a couple weeks ago, and now this. Like
very bizarre.
Not putting on a good...
I've had really good times with that game, too.
Yeah,
like, that's the dumb thing, is it's just like, that game's been a lot of fun. And everything around it just seems like... I don't know. Maybe it's, but it was a fairly small studio. Maybe they were not ready for the success, and maybe they're still not ready, and they're just reacting as best they can and making as many mistakes as you could make.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's just weird.
Not putting on a great face. Okay, 3 more emails.
3 mails.
I know I said 3 the first time. It's more like 5 mails now.
Okay.
Ben from Cincinnati. Got a lot of Bens written this week. In 1 month, on September 7th, the last confirmed boxed new 3DS game for North America will be released, which is Yokai Watch Blaster's White Dog Squad. There are a couple of other remasters and re-releases after that, but that is the last new game currently slated for the 3DS as listed officially on Nintendo's website for release. Do you think, even though Nintendo has claimed they are not giving up on the 3DS in favor of the Switch, that this is indeed the end of the line for the system?
No.
I mean, it's not as simple as giving up the 3DS in favor of the Switch. The 3DS has been around for a long time. It is time to wrap it up. It is getting closer and closer to being time to wrap it up, and you see that in the release schedule.
It's still got that install base. Though,
totally, but there's not. It's that install base is not buying third-party games, and the games that prop up a console late in the cycle are the annual sports games that the casual audience plays, and the occasional third-party release. And that's not where the 3DS has been strongest. So at some point, it's like, is Nintendo going to continue to support the 3DS, even if it's got this install base? Like, how many of those players are still actively buying or playing games?
White Dog Watch.
Yeah, it's got a huge install base, but yeah, like how many people are going to buy WarioWare Gold in any format, digital or otherwise? It's just they can't be moving huge numbers of units of that software anymore. So at some point, it just, regardless of the Switch, it's just getting to be time. And maybe they'll announce 1 or 2 more games or something, right? I don't know. Or maybe there's still some stuff in Japan that they could say, hey, we're going to, it turns out we are going to localize this thing.
Did they say anything about that new Pokemon that like it would be on 3DS and Switch or anything like that?
I don't know.
I don't know if they've come out.
The new Pokemon is for Switch.
The unnamed one, the like brand new one,
the,
just Switch.
Next Pokemon, yeah.
Not.
They're like, we are developing a real first party Pokemon game for the Switch.
Okay, that will not be on 3DS.
I believe that is the case.
Okay.
So yeah, it's getting to be time.
I can't remember. Was the World Ends With You announcement, was that just it's a Switch port and not a sequel?
I don't think it's a new game.
I think it's an addition. So I think there are some stuff. It's got like some kind of name on it or some kind of subtitle on it.
But it is a Switch port.
I believe. Yeah. Yes. Okay. Yes. God, I don't know. I know that they announced that thing, and I assumed it was for Switch. But now that you're actually asking me, I'm like, I don't know that I actually clicked through and read any of that stuff.
I just can't remember.
It's all a blur.
Yeah,
it's life for you.
Woohoo!
Totally forgot what I was going to say.
Yep. There you go.
When was the last time they released like a new version of the 3DS? I don't mean like
last month. Like
no, I don't mean just like skin, but I mean like the last sort of major revision. Like, was it probably the
2DS XL?
That was probably the last like kind of new redesign, right?
Yeah, the 2DS XL that is still a clamshell folder.
But it doesn't.
The thing they showed not this E3 but last E3 for the first time. It was the one that was like the black and blue and then the white and orange.
So that's like a year old.
Yeah. And that seems like the last like discount model.
I guess even if you just bought into the 3DS, there's still like a massive library.
Combination of things from 3DSs that they could do.
Like, you're not exactly leaving new owners behind because they have a bazillion games already.
Yeah.
Even if you just bought your first 3DS a few months ago.
Yeah, if you bought a 3DS right now, like that eShop is full of things.
Yeah.
You could play the Hid My Game by Mom.
Yeah.
On 3DS.
Yeah.
3 came out. I don't know if
we
did not talk about it, but 3 came out a couple weeks ago. I keep meaning to mention it and I forgot.
I think it's on Switch.
On my phone right now.
It's definitely on phone.
It's definitely on phone. I played through the first half of it and have not finished it yet. I've been savoring it.
Yeah.
The only thing about the Switch is that they have not hit that traditional like low price point that gets parents to buy in for their little kids. You know,
they will.
Like, eventually.
But like if you're looking for a platform for little kids and you don't want to spend a lot of money, the 3DS is still there.
I guess so.
You know, and it still has a ton of games, and there's a used market for all that sort of stuff. If you want to go out and buy those games, like there's still an avenue for people to spend money with Nintendo.
Yeah, it makes me think about. I mean, it was such a vague thing, but there was that quote in the investor thing a month or two ago, a few months ago, where they sort of said they have not ruled out a successor to the 3DS, or more to the point, I think they said something like the existence of the Switch does not rule out another like handheld only system.
Yeah,
or something.
I could see them like going super low.
Yeah,
like what if they went something that was like, you know, even just from a tech perspective, like a step back from the 3DS.
Or I mean, it's been so long, you could make something better than
Pokemon
3DS
Mini
for cheaper.
2. Pokemon Mini 2, let's go.
Like, what if, you know, maybe they put out some $99 handheld or something? Who knows? I don't know.
I don't
just
know.
feel like there's a segment of the market they're not hitting with the Switch.
But also, I don't know if that's the segment of the market they need to hit right now, because by the time, you know, because they will hit it with the Switch when that thing eventually drops in price. And
I
would all that sort of
I would bet the people who have bought Switches, like the attach rate is huge. Because it's a bunch of adults with disposable income who are buying every fucking Switch game they can get their hands on.
But also, like, you know, the Switch launched at, was it 300?
300.
How much did the 3DS launch at?
250.
Yeah, that's
but remember, that was a quasi controversy at the time.
Believe me, I just system transferred my ambassador certificate over to my 2DS XL.
Right.
Which was dumb because it has that you can view that certificate in 3D, and now I can't anymore because I transferred it to a 2D unit.
Yep.
My mistake.
Like they dropped the price after like 3 months or something, like
by
like $80.
But you know, still, you know, it's not like that thing launched at super kid friendly prices. It's still not.
Yeah.
You know, like, you know, it's still not a $99 unit. It's still not hitting these magical mainstream price points.
You can find like used.
You can.
There's plenty of options out there for those who are more budget conscious. Jeff, a new feature, Collection Mom, has been added to further pump up the fun. Can you confirm or deny?
Yeah, Collection Mom means there's a separate collection screen where you want to lose on each stage so you can see all the different moms.
Okay.
To fill out your mom collection.
Oh, all right.
In Hid My Game by Mom 3.
Great.
Hell of a game.
Great.
Hell of a franchise.
Like when I get a new mom, can I transmog her to look like my favorite mom?
No.
Who's your favorite mom?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not sure.
This is an easy question, Brad.
June?
No, it's your mom.
Oh, my mom.
Thank you.
Okay.
God. Easy question.
I didn't know she was in the game yet.
If she's listening, she's like disowning you. She's like, oh, well, that's like a half-hearted... Okay, I'll take it.
Sorry, Mom, I screwed up.
She's used to being disappointed, Bradley.
Man. All right. David from Cambridgeshire. Your discussion of plagiarism reminded me of something I did at school. During a religious education class, we were set one particularly tedious project. The night before it was due, I copied out the list of powers and corresponding faux Bible quotes from the game Requiem Avenging Angel. Either the teacher wasn't too up on her Bible quotes or middling first-person shooters, because I got an A for that project, and it was on display at the front of the school as a shining example of the students' work for the rest of the year.
You cheated in God class?
I hope you enjoy the fires of hell,
Jesus,
son.
dude. If you're going to plagiarize in one class, it is not God 101.
Passing off a bunch of fake Bible quotes is just
from a video game of all things.
Yeah. That's
something that I'm sure they rallied against.
That's something. All right, last email.
It's great stuff.
Josh from York, Pennsylvania. Now that everyone has played Dead Cells, what's the correct way to open a door? Although rolling through one may be the most fun, the simple act of using the doorknob always seems to flow better.
It's very satisfying to just open the door. I mean, it depends if there's an enemy on the
no other way than just to roll through.
Yeah, rolling with my vote.
I know.
Sure.
I'll bust it up.
See,
if necessary.
Problem, though,
if I just rolled through a door and I can't roll again, then it's acceptable to just smash the door.
I started out, hitting them.
But you don't just open.
If you're jumping up, you open, because you can open it in the frames where you're like landing or climbing up.
You can still roll through the door.
But it doesn't. The roll started.
The big one for me is the doors close too fast if you open them. So if you go through and then you need to roll backwards real fast, all of a sudden the door's in your way.
I usually
bust that shit up.
I don't know. I guess I open a fair amount of doors, but unless there's an enemy on the other side, and then I am breaking down the door to stun them. It's like a good gameplay reason to like break the doors.
It just feels good to open those doors.
But there's sometimes when I want to like sneak through a door and sneak up behind somebody who's faced the other way, and I don't necessarily want to break through. But then that would be
sneak
faster
through by going, ha-ha!
Yeah, exactly. I could
door.
just roll through and fucking bust them up.
I'm with you. I roll through everything.
You
just never stop moving.
Always be rolling.
Just keep. There are some doors you cannot break.
That roll though.
Are you saying that people should keep rolling?
What?
Rolling? Keep rolling.
What?
Rolling. Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
All right. That's it for emails. Bombcast@giantbomb.com.
3 mails.
Yeah. More like 6
Said
mails.
it 3 times, so it's funny now.
That's right.
6 or 7 mails. Something like that.
So 4 mails.
Yeah. All right. Thanks everybody for joining us. You guys are doing an after show.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Okay.
Stay tuned.
What are you gonna talk about?
If you're out there on the internet listening to this podcast,
what do you think you're
not
gonna talk
live?
about?
Subscribe to the Giant Bombcast Aftermath on iTunes.
I don't know. Last week we talked about video game bumper stickers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Somebody sent me a picture of literally having a license cover that said "My other car is a warthog,"
Good.
which was a joke of
The
mine.
coexist bumper sticker also exists.
Yeah.
Which I was pretty
Saw
sure
that
when we
with
were talking
different
about it.
controllers.
I was pretty sure that did exist.
Oh man, I don't know how I feel about that.
You know how
Bad.
you feel about
You
it.
shouldn't
but-
feel bad.
Man, I don't know. You're right. It's not good.
The console wars have to end some way, man.
Yeah, exactly, bro.
So who knows what we'll talk about?
Yeah. We'll take your calls. I guess via Discord. We'll
Play some
and
voicemails.
play some voicemails. If you're in the chat live, we'll take some of that too.
Yeah.
And if you just want to hear the show because you're driving in a car somewhere, what is it? It's a
Giant
Giant Bombcast
Bombcast
Aftermath in iTunes and all those other podcast locations.
Catch it.
Catch the fuck out of it.
Like, review, and write a review and review it. And
Where all
rate
your
it.
favorite podcasts are sold.
Go
Apple Podcasts.
Go give it the 5 stars on the Apple Podcasts. I don't know.
I'm getting a nod from our producer saying that we've covered the plug.
Great.
Okay.
Terrific.
All right. Well,
we paid for it.
Yeah.
Our due diligence is done. That's it for the Giant Bombcast. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week. Bye.